timeshare you no longer want? My friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Tuesday, way too many politics in the ICE Minneapolis disaster. Now the Senate Democrats say they will not vote to fund ICE, which could shut down a government again by the end of this month. Obviously, this hurts all of us. As usual, politicians simply will not accept the truth of the situation. Minnesota authorities are in full rebellion against federal law. That is a crime, and there's no justification for it. The American people elected Donald Trump to enforce immigration statutes. If Minnesota doesn't like it, tough. States should be fiscally punished for practicing anarchy. Meantime, there is too much defiance about public safety from Homeland Security. Yes, your job is enforcement, but diffusing potential life-death situations should be a priority. Leadership clearly knows federal agents are in danger from disturbed people in Minnesota. Adjustments have to be made. However, it is absolutely true that the man shot dead on Saturday actually sought his own demise. Sane people don't bring loaded guns and then confront law enforcement officials. The man's family should be respected and his loss mourned, but he himself orchestrated his own demise, and I hate to say that. Finally, President Trump should begin supervising these events in Minnesota directly. He doesn't have to back down, but reasonable dialogue should be put on the table. Back in a moment. By now, you've probably heard about All Family Pharmacy. They're fast, reliable, and committed to getting you the medications you need without the runaround. When everyone around you is sick and you know you have to be prepared, or when you don't want to wait in line for maintenance meds, you absolutely need All Family Pharmacy. They've got antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin. Order online at allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scott with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies, highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark. But colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the negative 2-degree point. For the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, you should be able to get around town a whole lot easier today. I mean, obviously there's lots of snow, maybe a couple of residential streets that aren't cleared off yet, but for the most part, we should be back to normal today, other than it's really, really stupid cold still. So please be careful and watch out for that. Hey, good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Obviously, law enforcement, especially at the federal level, is in the spotlight because of what's happening in Minneapolis and what's been happening around the country. So let's look at it from the law enforcement perspective, not the administration, not the chief, but the men and the women who are on the ground. We're going to talk to our friends from the National Police Association a little bit later on today. We had a really good conversation with Congressman Eric Burleson on Monday's program, not just about what's happening in Minneapolis, but also what's happening with the potential for a government shutdown. That's getting drowned out in all the other news. Well, here's what the congressman had to say in his update. What's on everybody's mind right now is this fact that there was another shooting, this one involving Border Patrol in Minneapolis. We've got the leftists, including the governor, agitating, anti-law enforcement stuff again, elected officials stirring things up. But this situation, a little more messy, not as clear cut as some of the other ones. What was your reaction when you saw what happened and read what happened and you're seeing the fallout from it?
Yeah, I think my overall view of this is that people need to take a step back. This is not like watching Sunday football and seeing a replay and trying to make a fair call. First and foremost, when you're law enforcement and you are in a potentially lethal situation, you're putting your life on the line. That is not the same playing field. The other thing is that an individual going into a protest does not have the right to create any kind of physical altercation, initiate any kind of attack against local law enforcement or any law enforcement, federal or local. And I don't know since when did we forget that this is just a basic rule that we should all follow. You do not attack law enforcement, and to think that in some way that this is like two players playing on the field, and we all get to watch it. That's not what's happening here, folks. So on the other side of this, you've got some of the people on the right who are saying stupid things about Second Amendment rights and saying, well, he brought a firearm to a protest. You have a right to bring a firearm to a protest. You don't have a right, whether you're armed or unarmed, to attack law enforcement. And so I think that we just need to take a step back and just call out what's the facts here, what's the truth, and look, they're gonna investigate this and let the investigators do the play-by-play and figure out, was there any at fault there? But that's not for us to be armchair quarterbacking, watching and determining this off the internet.
Good morning, Eric. This is Susie Moore. Follow-up question on that, because you're talking about investigations. And yes, this investigation needs to be playing out, but there's so many layers here, particularly with regard to Minnesota and Minneapolis, of investigation that needs to go on. We've got the fraud situation. Now we've got, coming to light this sort of orchestrated counterinsurgency, if you will, from the activists.
Right.
That's much more organized, I think, than people realize. This isn't just people showing up to protest and then getting sideways with officers. This is people coordinating at a level that's kind of paramilitary. So I know that there's, upcoming hearings scheduled, I think, with regard to Border Patrol and ICE. But with regard to the fraud situation and the local officials and state officials and these activists that are perhaps coordinating in nefarious ways, do you see there being congressional investigations into that as well?
That could happen. The fact that you've got, to your point, all of these people who are doing a counterinsurgency effort that are well organized. They're on signal chats. It's been well documented on Twitter that people have taken screenshots and of the comments and the strategies that are going on behind the scenes in these large groups that are very well coordinated. And it's been reported that the Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan of Minnesota, is one of the administrators of one of these signal chats. And for the folks that don't know what Signal is, it's a secure, encrypted app that keeps you anonymous and often deletes your messages within a short period of time automatically, so that there's not a trace. So these are people who are hiding in the dark, planning these attacks, trying to coordinate to basically commit violent acts against our ICE agents that are out in the field.
Yeah, Eric, if the lieutenant governor were actually proven to be involved, and this is something that was specifically advocating for any kind of physical conduct or physical interference, I would think that she could possibly, even though she's lieutenant governor, be liable to be prosecuted for federal crimes if that could be proven.
Yeah, if she could be connected to any kind of physical attacks, I think you're right. She was part of this group and part of coordinating it, and not only was she in the signal chat, but she's apparently an admin in the chat. So that is, if it's true, it's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been verified yet, but there's some pretty strong evidence for it, and certainly it needs to be looked at. And then there's also the issue about, we've kind of forgotten about the whole church invasion last week and the prosecutions there. And obviously there's a role that the federal judiciary is playing in some instances basically running interference for the left and the agitators. Do you see there being some additional discussions in Congress about maybe reining in some of the authority that the Article 3 courts are wielding right now?
I wish that were the case. We just tried to have an amendment done, and it was Chip Roy's amendment to kind of rein in Boasberg. And it wasn't even to fire Boasberg. It was to pull back on the resources that he has as a judge. And unfortunately, we couldn't get all of the Republicans on board with voting for that. So I think that's disturbing. What I think is a disturbing trend right now is that you're seeing Republicans run for the fences, right? So you're seeing them go on social media, go on some of the talk shows, and call for an investigation, for example, of these ICE agents that with the recent shooting. They're trying they're going into retreat mode because they're all afraid of going into the midterms. But the truth is, doing that, running away from the roar, is the wrong thing to do. You run to the roar, and what I mean is that when you at the end of the day, the American people are just going to see you for what you are, which is a coward who just wants to keep your job. You need to go in. You need to confront what's happening and expose the truth.
We're visiting with Congressman Eric Burleson. A couple other things are happening. I mentioned just a minute ago the spending bill, or a version of the spending bill, passes the House. Now it's in the Senate. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's been some criticism as far as, spending on, refugee programs and things like that. What do you make of the spending bill? Obviously, it's in the hands of the Senate, but this may end up coming back if they change anything to you. Since we're in shutdown season now again, what are the chances that we have a good spending plan that keeps things kind of even keel for a while?
Well, the bill that we passed, to your point, had a lot of warts in it. And it had a lot of warts because the Democrats in the Senate and the Republicans in the Senate and what they call the four corners, they all agreed on this package, what we call a mini bus and a mini omnibus. And it included a bunch of earmarks, dozens and dozens of earmarks for Democrats, mainly Democratic senators, to get their votes, basically. And a lot of these are pretty disgusting earmarks there were like 24 of them that went towards funding gender affirming care clinics or late-term abortion clinics. That's something I couldn't support, but it did pass, and the Republicans passed it thinking that they get their stuff, the Democrats get a little bit of their stuff, and then they should pass it. Well, now they've changed their mind because of what's happening in Minnesota. They feel like they cannot vote for Homeland Security, period. And because this package includes Homeland, they want to strip it out or they're going to shut the government down. Well, again, this is a moment where you don't then back off and then try to give them more things and give ground to the Democrats. You run to the roar, right? You run into the conflict. We should be demanding that they return the filibuster in the Senate to the way the filibuster works in Missouri and the way that the filibuster used to work in Washington, D.C., where these, jackwagons have to actually stand on the floor and talk. Chuck Schumer should actually have to stand there. Like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. You remember that movie? Mm-hmm. Jimmy Stewart stood there and, until his last breath. This is the way it works in the Missouri Senate. You can filibuster, but you got to actually do it. These octogenarians in the Senate, it's basically become a nursing home because they don't physically have to lift a finger to do anything. And so they need to return to that rule. Make Chuck Schumer, make Dick Durbin, all these people that are over 80 years old have to go out there and actually physically do their job. Then you'll see that they're not going to fight that long. The other thing that we could be doing is doing Reconciliation 2.0. Tell the Democrats, fine, we're going to take out all of your earmarks and we're going to pass this under simple reconciliation. That's the kind of thing that Republicans should be doing, and would probably, inspire the base. And hopefully some of my colleagues will see that as a direction to go.
Eric, you kind of anticipated my next question, and that was, do you see Leader Thune, Senate leadership, being willing to perhaps go to the mat on this and maybe even get rid of the filibuster for appropriations purposes?
I don't know. I do not know. Thune did come out with a response to Chuck Schumer saying that they're going to proceed forward. And if the Democrats want to shut down the government, then that's on them. Hopefully, Thune they did a good job of standing up to the Democrats the first shutdown. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they repeat that.
All right, 314-912-1019. That's how you get involved in any conversation. Of course, as most people do, you can comment on social media. We had quite the discussion going yesterday when we were talking about everything from the Minneapolis shooting to the invasion of that church. I know we've got some friends on the left who are in there. And by the way, guys, I'm glad you're there. I really mean that. As long as we keep the debates and the discussions to just that, I think it speaks well of News Talk STL family. And we don't always agree, and you don't have to be on the same side as me. So check that out on Facebook or Rumble. You can also find us on Twitter or X as well. All right, this is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
The president has made his priority quite clear.
Iran says it's ready for dialogue.
Why don't we lower the temperature? Some of these individuals do come from out of state. Are they being paid?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Some people start their day with coffee. A lot of us start our day wondering, why did my mattress do me like that? If that's you, Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield can help. Right now, save up to $900 on Stearns and Foster adjustable sets and up to $700 on Beauty Rest Black during our year-end event. Just walk in, no appointment needed. We'll run a quick sleep assessment and match you to a system built for real deep rest. If you want to feel human in the morning again, come say yes to better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With U.S. Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose U.S. Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. U.S. Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, I don't know who was here last, but they really had this headphone cranked up. So I got Motley Crue just blasting through my head right now. And I like it.
Yeah.
Just
That's what we want more of.
That's right. All right. Obviously the whole world, I think, at this point is now watching what's happening in Minnesota. I'm not spending the whole morning on Minnesota again. We've got other things happening. We've got stuff happening right here in St. Louis. Hundreds of people are losing their jobs this week in the metro area. We'll have that in the news dump here. But seems like there's going to be some fallout. Something's different with the Alex Preddy shooting. And I think that we're at like a tipping point on top of all the tipping points. And I think there are people on both sides who are, I don't want to say overcoming ideology, but starting to realize we might have a humanity issue here. And of course, the left loves to say that in favor of illegal aliens. But this has spun so far out of control and out of chaotic that it's not about the illegal aliens. That's not what they just want to go to war with federal law enforcement. I would venture to guess most of the people out there who are protesting and setting up barricades and as you said, you saw a video, somebody throwing a rock or piece of brick or whatever it was at a guy who was trying to protect a a hotel?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so all these protesters out there, people are now starting to go, whoa. And my guess is that a lot of them, if not the majority of them, if you asked them what started this whole thing, they're not going to know. They're not going to say, well, we think that illegal aliens should have due process. And we think, no. They just hate the fascist orange man bad. And I think this is spun. And so things are getting so serious. And the thing is that the more that we dig into what happened with the Alex Preddy shooting, and there's some movement happening. Some people are saying Bovino is being basically put out to pasture until he can retire. The White House says that's not the case. Tom Homan is going into Minnesota. He's going to take the reins, looks like, from Kristi Noem on this. So there is something going on with this latest episode that is either changing things in and of itself or it's a straw on the camel's back. Now we also hear that Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, had a phone call with the president, and those two hate each other. Tim Walz communicating with the president, and so they're calling it productive. So at some point, is it possible in this hyper-partisan, ideologically driven world that at some point people go, oh, okay, hold on, we gotta get a handle on this. We can't let this keep going, and decompress it and de-escalate it somehow. That would be assuming there are better angels of people's nature, and I'm not sure when the stakes are this high that better angels are allowed to sit on our shoulders.
Yeah, I don't see it going in the direction of like, wait. I was supporting this, and then something happened, and now I have to reevaluate why I'm supporting it. I see it more as the people that are more of the moderate, center-leaning people are seeing what's going on, and it really depends on who they know that supports what, that decides what side they're going on. I don't think either person on the far extreme of one side or the other, the extreme pro-ICE people are wondering, why have these people not started opening fire and taking people down? The extreme pro-protest people are saying the exact same thing. Why are they not firing on the ICE agents? And it's concerning.
We mentioned it yesterday, is that the fringes on both sides have crossed over into just bloodlust. We have bloodthirsty people for the blood of fellow Americans right now. That's what we're seeing. Now, hopefully these are just small, loud, but fringe minorities, and those on the right, on the center right, on the left can go, all right, stop. Democrats are pro-illegal alien. We know that. That doesn't change anything. I'm not saying that their ideology has gotten any better. But at some point, can even the worst ideology be overcome with somebody saying, this isn't how we do this? I don't know that I've got that much hope, because, frankly, the fringe far left wants the chaos. They want the violence. I think they want the bloodshed. We just can't allow ourselves to respond by saying, oh, you want our blood? I want your blood. I don't want their blood. I don't want anybody's blood. But I want... I like the mission of ICE to find, especially with Homan. Homan goes in and he's very, very strategic. He says, we're going after violent criminals. We're going after the worst. and it's very surgically and precision. There's been a lot of criticism of Kristi Noem, who basically likes the press conferences. Not that she is, I think the mission that she's got is right, but there's a lot of pushback on her methodology and her messaging. And we talked about that the other day. It's causing a lot of problems. It doesn't mean that that she's wrong on the stuff, but it means that right now the administration is looking at, we've got some trouble here and we've got some fallout that we've got to deal with. Do we need to change course?
Yeah. I mean, and again, if Governor Walz had done his responsibility as the governor, if Fry had been responsible as the mayor, this would not have been happening. This looks a lot like from ancient Rome. When Rome was burning, it was alleged that Emperor Nero was sitting there playing his fiddled in the background as the Rome burned, and this is exactly what it looks like with Governor Walz and Fry.
Yeah, Minneapolis is burning, and Tim Walz is jazz handsing.
Yes.
I don't think he knows how to fiddle. I'm just saying. All right, so we're going to go into that a little bit, but it looks like they're really, the more that we find out about what little we know about the Preddy shooting, the more questions we have.
Yes.
And we should have those questions. And so we need to get to the truth on that. Also, credit where credit's due. Roads and highways are pretty good shape around St. Louis.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I was on the highway yesterday and through some of the main roads here yesterday and today. It looks like the roads MoDOT kept up with this one. So we know they can do it. So remember the last time that we had the complete debacle, that was 2 inches of snow? Well, this was a foot, and here we are 2 days later. So they did a good job. They should get credit for that. And it looks like, now we know you can do it. This is what you should have been doing all along. But cold temperatures are on the way back pretty quick here in just a few days. We'll have that update for you just ahead as well.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, what would this have been? Mid-90s. Yeah. And I was I worked at Grant's Farm and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Porcelli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time, make this free call now, and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump describes it as a very good call, Mr. Trump referring to his conversation with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. They discussed the turmoil in Minneapolis amid anti-ICE rioting and 2 protester deaths. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is shuffling the deck among those in charge of the immigration enforcement operation.
A source tells the AP a senior Border Patrol commander and some agents are expected to leave Minneapolis. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino has been at the center of the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement surge in cities nationwide. Criticism of Bovino has intensified after he defended the shooting death in Minneapolis of Alex Preddy by Border Patrol agents. Bovino disputed claims about the confrontation that led to Preddy's death. President Trump has sent Border Czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis to take charge of immigration and customs enforcement operations. I'm Ed Donahue.
Countless communities across many states are struggling with the massive winter storm that had dumped so much snow in some places, laid down a heavy blanket of ice in others. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves.
Ice storms are different than virtually any other type of storm that we deal with. And it's particularly different when you see the ice come in and then 48 hours or so after the precipitation leaves, the temperature has still not gotten above freezing, and therefore it creates challenges in terms of getting assets deployed.
Airline passengers continue facing delays and flight cancellations. In Maine, there is speculation the weather could have been a factor in the crash of a business jet in Bangor. All 6 people on board the plane were killed. On Wall Street this morning, the stock futures are mixed. Dow futures down 124, while the NASDAQ futures are up 179 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gaudens and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies, highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark, but colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the negative 2-degree point. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at SerenityLTC.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe. So your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, is there a shakeup in leadership when it comes to the effort against illegal aliens? I guess depends on which media outlet you're looking at. Some people are moving around, though.
There's some shifting.
There's some, yeah. That is it just shifting, or are there actual changes happening? So we'll dig into that. I know you're watching that at redstate.com. Also, we might see another government shutdown after all, at least partial one. Maybe. We'll see. And the Billikens move up in the national rankings. So this is not a fluke. They are one of the top 25 teams in America right now. All right, 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and get started with a news dump.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Okay, there is, if not a public relations crisis, there's at least some kind of fallout from the shooting of Alex Preddy. Obviously, not just Democrats, but more Republicans now are saying we need to look into what happened in this particular case. Homeland Security officials obviously are saying that Preddy approached officers while he had a gun, and they say he threatened them. We're going to have to figure out what the truth is. FBI Director Kash Patel was on Hannity last night and says Preddy's actions were irresponsible.
It's not smart to go out there with a fully loaded weapon. We're just saying be careful and be reasonable, like you've outlined. If you have a right to a permit for a firearm, that's okay, but you cannot incite violence.
Okay, and then video from the incident shows Preddy turns out holding a phone and not his gun when he approached Border Patrol officers. It looks like that there were body cams being worn by at least some of the officers at the time, but none of that video has been released as far as I know.
It has not been released. It is being reviewed. It was always clear that he had a phone in his hand when he approached them because he was using it to film them at one point. And no one, I don't think, ever claimed that he approached them with the gun out of the holster. Yeah. So, that part of it, I mean, people that are saying otherwise are really misconstruing the facts. The issue was at what point it came out of the holster and under what circumstances. And
who pulled it out?
Yeah, I mean, that needs to be determined.
Right.
But the body cam footage is being reviewed, and I want to go on record and correct myself because yesterday, I know during our interview with Eric Burleson, and I know later on, maybe when I was talking to Tim and Chris, or just Chris, I was using the term counterinsurgency to describe this organized activity we're seeing from the agitators, and I wasn't thinking. They're not a counterinsurgency. No. They would be an insurgency.
They are the insurgency.
Yeah. So I just want to correct myself.
Hey, well, you know what? I guess that's why we do what we do. Because if what matters is getting it right and getting the truth, then that's what we do.
My brain just went on autopilot.
It happens.
And pulled out that word because it sounded fancy.
Yeah.
Insurgency.
All right. Hundreds of workers losing their jobs on the Illinois side of the metro. Not good news here. KMOV's Morgan Harris has the story.
Alton Steel announcing tonight it's shutting down this week. The steel company, which has been in business for 25 years, says 253 employees, contractors, and vendors will be impacted by this announcement. Alton Steel said both aging infrastructure, market competition, and industry consolidation are leading to this closure.
Alton Steel basically trying to hold on up to this point. It's been kind of touch and go for a little while.
Yeah, I was wondering what the impact of U.S. Steel kind of being revitalized has on that, because I guess they were competitors?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't understand that industry enough to know for sure, so I don't want to put myself out there. But it's been a tough go, and obviously, not to score political points, but holding on to any kind of business in Illinois right now is just
very tough.
Difficult.
That's very tough.
This is partly. I mean, I'm sure that this is as much international and national in scope, but Illinois doesn't make it any easier to hold on to a business in tough situations.
Absolutely.
All right, Senate Democrats, many of them promising to not vote on a spending bill or to vote no on the spending bill that funds the Department of Homeland Security, and they're saying this is in response to the Alex Preddy shooting. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman was on Hannity on Fox, and he says he's not going to be responsible for a government shutdown.
Our entire military won't be paid again. I can't ever support that. I absolutely hope we can engage. In a debate and make some of the kinds of common sense reforms on ICE.
Okay, so are we going to see a shutdown, at least a partial one again?
I don't think so.
You don't think?
I'm
You think they'll figure it out?
going with my gut.
Yeah.
I'm going with my gut on it. I mean, credit to Fetterman for being consistent throughout all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I disagree with him on a lot of things, he has at least been solid on this issue and on Israel.
You know what's in? Yeah, he has been. You know what's interesting is when he first got elected. You remember how much all of us couldn't stand him because he was so fringe left, and then something changed, and he's been consistent for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
And there's only one variable that I can see, but I have no idea whether that's the variable that matters, is that his socialist wife has been now put in the background. You don't see or hear from her anymore because she's kind of
that's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but especially like when he went in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, for the last three years or so, he's been really consistent.
So I would say it could be a couple of things. It could be, having fully recuperated from the stroke or as much as you can.
Right.
He got back to kind of his equilibrium. I think from a strategic standpoint, he figured out, hey, look, Joe Manchin's gone, Kristen Cinema is gone. Cinema is gone, and someone has to play the role of the guy who's, willing to walk across the aisle, because that actually gives you power.
Yes. And also Pennsylvania is a blue state, but it is a blue-collar blue state, and this is not a fringe left area.
I wouldn't even say it's a blue state.
Purple?
Maybe. I mean, they voted for Trump.
Yeah, but they voted for Shapiro, too, who's not a fringe lefty.
Right, but then they've got Dave McCormick as another senator.
Yeah,
so, I think purple.
Yeah, purple. That's fair enough. All right, President Trump plans to travel the country this year ahead of November's midterms.
After doing very little domestic travel during his first year in office, Donald Trump will be revving up Air Force One more often this year, and it has everything to do with politics. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles told reporters that the president will travel on a weekly basis and speak to voters as Republicans try and hold their majorities in Congress. The president visits Iowa on Tuesday for a speech on the economy and energy. Greg Clugston, Washington.
In the best of circumstances, mid-year elections are challenging for the party in power.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the best of circumstances.
While I will give credit to the president, he seems to be aware of that and is doing what he feels he can to help shore up the races of the people that are not him, but who he needs on his side in order to have a successful presidency.
Yeah. So I don't, the rallies are campaign year events.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they are. This is a campaign year.
It is.
So
just not for him, but
no.
I mean, he's doing what he can to help out the people that are on the ballot.
Yeah. I mean, to some degree, is it? I mean, even though he's not on the ballot, but is it him as well? Because right now, let's talk about the reality of the dynamics. Is that Congress is not a co-equal branch of government. The majority party is waiting for instructions from the president. And basically, the voter base is looking at Congress and judging them based on, are you doing what Donald Trump tells you to do?
Yeah, I mean, literally, he's not running for re-election. He's not on the ballot. Metaphorically, psychologically, he is, because even, no matter what, first of all, everybody on the left, that's what they rally around, is hating him and opposing him. And he's going to have a very, very difficult second half of his second term if he does not have Congress in line with him.
Yep, exactly. All right, it's going to be a balmy almost 30 today. 30 degrees today.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
I'm telling you, I felt like 18 felt pretty good this morning. I was like, okay, this isn't so bad.
All right, so enjoy it while it lasts. More Arctic cold is on the way. Temperatures are going to be back in the single digits tomorrow. Our friends at KMOV are warning that a dangerous Arctic cold is likely to be back this weekend, just so you know. All right, the Billikens move up in the national rankings.
Nice.
Yeah, in the new AP poll, SLU is up 3 spots. They are now ranked 21st in the nation. They're actually tied with Georgia. the Georgia Bulldogs for 21 right now. The coaches poll has them ranked 22nd, which is also move up a couple of notches in that poll. Billikens are 19-1 so far on the season, and when they're winning their games against other big major conference teams, they're not winning by 3, 4, 5 points. They're running the table on them right
authority.
now. Yeah, they host George Washington tonight at Chaffetz Arena. Blues are back at home tonight as well. They have a 7 p.m. meeting with the Stars at Enterprise. Blues are hoping to stop a 4-game losing streak.
Please.
Stop right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do.
On Newstalk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stigall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Hey, everybody likes Mike. Mike Ferguson in the morning, News Talk, STL.
Okay, do we have a shakeup happening in the whole anti-illegal immigration effort?
Shake and bake.
Yeah, and I asked that as a question because I saw a whole bunch of reports. Tom Homan taking over for Kristi Noem, Greg Bovino being put out to pasture, basically. It doesn't look like that's maybe necessarily quite that simple. The officers who were involved in the Preddy shooting looks like they have been deployed to other areas to get them out of Minneapolis. And obviously that would as much for their safety as much as anything else. But the reporting is adding to the chaos because we don't know who's got the actual report on this. The White House says, no, Greg Bovino is not being put out to pasture. Now he is expected to retire at some point. He's been on the job for a very long time. Homan definitely going to Minnesota, and he's basically taking the reins there. Some media is trying to read that into, okay, does that mean that he's supplanting Kristi Noem, as being the lead in what's happening there? And the short answer is we don't know. Confusion is a tactic, I think, at this point. I don't think that the Trump administration is in chaos over this, but I do think they realize that they've got some problems on their hands.
Yeah, I would say, I know that some people are just going to disagree with this on principle, but I would say that on this particular issue, President Trump has actually taken a very measured approach. If you look at what he had to say about this shooting and the moves that he's made in the 48, well, now more than that, hours since, he's been very deliberate, and he doesn't seem to be getting out over his skis with regard to the narrative or anything like that. I think that, Bovino is definitely being moved out of that area. He's being moved back to Texas, which isn't actually a hive of activity right now. So you can read into that what you want. There's been no indication that Homan's is replacing Kristi Noem. Now, he's going to be, I think, the face of the efforts in Minnesota now. And I think that's a good move. I think he has the ability to address things very frankly, bluntly, but in kind of in a reassuring way. And whether that means down the line that there's tension between him and Noem and, that sort of thing, well, I don't know. That's palace intrigue. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. But I think it's a strong signal that Trump wants to tamp this down.
Right, because I think across the aisle, I mean, even like here, I mean, we got three slightly different perspectives on a lot of different stuff. All of us, because I always try to gauge, when you and Jerome get in, and we were all saying, I don't know about this particular Preddy situation. I want to wait and see. And we all had the same conclusion on that. And I think that there's more people who are now starting to go, oh, okay, hold on both sides. Let's see what happened. But especially on our side, I think there's more people who are saying, you know what? Let's find out the truth. Does there need to be a different tact? I'm not hearing anybody say I want to back off and I want to stop going after illegal aliens.
No,
nobody is saying that. But I think that there are some people who are saying, okay, wait a minute, maybe we're taking a sledgehammer to the ant here. Maybe there's a different way to do this. I'm not saying that that's the case, but I think the Preddy shooting, and the more we find out about it, the more I think people are starting to say, let me at least be open-minded to possibly something else, because we can't have this continue to escalate like this. But you also can't surrender to the fringe loons, the nutcases.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think there were different components to it. There's the shooting itself, and whether something went wrong. Well, obviously something went wrong, but I mean, whether it was a good shoot, bad shoot, in between, whatever. The facts of the actual shooting, that needs to be analyzed, investigated. But then there's the messaging that followed it. That created a big problem from a couple facets: the 2A facet, and then just the accusations about his motive and intent that didn't necessarily seem to be. Well, they certainly seem to be more extreme than what the objective facts supported.
All right, well, who we got?
We have our good friend Dave.
Hey, Dave, you're on News Talk STL, man. What do you think?
Hey, good morning. There's so many things that is wrong, but the one thing I do know is that the Trump administration better not back down, because this has been the problem for George Floyd, Michael Brown. Pick any major riot where the race baiters have decided we're going to jump in, and then the police departments let the inmates run the asylum and burn the. They have to stop this. Now, this is a couple things that I've been thinking. I would drop handbills from planes, letting them know what their constitutional right are, because apparently the left doesn't have attorneys that's smart enough to tell these people, hey, you want to stay alive, you want to follow the Constitution, this is what you need to do. I think they also need to deputize police officers from other departments, bring them up to Minnesota, establish peace zones. Where I say peace zones, keep the police safe, because apparently the cowards in the Minneapolis Police Department are all a bunch of wussies. You can substitute another letter. I'm all about keeping law enforcement safe, and I'm also all about keeping protesters that have a functioning brain who want to do it right safe. So, see, I'm taking both sides, I think. What do you guys think?
Well, so I actually am not going to blame the Minneapolis police officers. It's the people who are in charge of deploying them. I would put the blame on that. And, of course, now the president's talked to Jacob Fry. And the fact that he had these conversations with Fry and with Walls, and of course, a lot of people are like, why are you even talking to them? Well, somebody has to say enough is enough on this. Whether anything comes from it or not, I don't know. Matter of fact, on the police thing, actually, Jerome caught some video earlier. We'll get to that in a couple minutes here, because I think that's a good addition to this, Jerome, as well. But yeah, but the point that you made, let me go back to where you started with. You can't surrender and back down to this, because if you do, here's what's at stake, especially after George Floyd, after Michael Brown, after all the others, is that the signal that you've just sent is, oh, you want to, you lose an election, burn down the city, and eventually you'll win. And then what you're creating is basically Eastern Europe right here in the United States. That's what you're creating.
Yeah.
And if they are a member of the FOP up in Minnesota, I don't know if they are, so I don't want to say that. But if they are a member of the FOP up in Minnesota.
Oh, did we lose Dave?
Hey,
oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
We lost you for a second. Yeah.
Okay. If they're members of the FOP up in Minnesota, or whatever police union they're in, if they're in one at all, they need to come out and say, hey, our chief of police is a coward. He's a weenie. He's whatever word you want to call him. We do not support him. He needs to go. This is what our department needs to do to support ICE. Now, Mike, I can tell you, and you guys have been doing this long enough, if a policeman just executed somebody, they're going to jail. We all know this.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. You can't get away with anything because everybody has a camera, whether it's a Ring, whatever, cell phones, and just, again, both sides. And here we go with the weak-kneed, limp-wristed, coward Republicans, as opposed to just analyzing the facts. I'm so sick of them. They just make me sick, guys. Thank you for letting me.
I got it. You got it, Dave. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
I'm going to push back.
Okay.
A little bit.
Let's do it.
Now, I'm not saying that his description that he just gave doesn't apply to some. But number one, I don't think the Trump administration is backing down here. I think they are pivoting in terms of how they're handling it from a strategically, because they want to continue with the enforcement and they want to not have it blow up in their face. So I don't think you're going to see them backing down here. I don't think we're going to see them letting up on sending Tom Homan is the opposite of backing down.
No, that's not. Yeah.
I think the Republicans that are saying, hey, let's be careful with this messaging. That's not helpful. A, you're misstating the Second Amendment. B, you're, getting way out over skis on the narrative about what this guy was up to and what he wasn't up to. And you're undermining your authority in the process. I think the people that are doing that are not weak-kneed, limp-wristed, or anything like that. Now, again, there are some who do fit that description.
Yeah.
But I just, anytime you ask questions or say, hey, there's a better way to handle this, doesn't mean you're going weak.
Or being somewhat dispensational and say, okay, well, the way we're doing it now is going to be different than the way we did it before.
Yeah.
On this situation, the Brady shooting has changed some things, but let me ask you about this. Outside of the policy, outside of the messaging, outside of the PR, is there a chance that a glimmer of humanity is starting to reach through? Okay, so Jerome sent us a video that he found. I guess you found that this morning. Was that from last night? Probably. So let's set the stage for it. This is. When was this? Do we know?
It was from the night before last.
Night before, okay.
It was outside the hotel that had been destroyed by
a bunch of these idiots.
Miscreants.
Yeah. So I'd seen the first part of the video, which was the two. I think it's only two people that are law enforcement that were that showed up because obviously local law enforcement's not showing up to respond to this.
And to Dave's point, yeah.
And the protesters themselves had been actually committing acts of vandalism against this hotel because they believe that there were ICE agents that were stationed up inside of there. They were making noise, but actually also causing physical damage. At some point, the video kind of cuts forward from the clips that I've seen, and it's just these two individuals sitting there in the front of the lobby with arms drawn, their arms drawn. The crowd had backed up, though. It was more of a manageable. I mean, people are still yelling and chanting.
Yeah, they were basically calling him a bunch of names.
But it wasn't like what we've been seeing where they're getting in the faces of the officers and antagonizing and pushing and shoving. But in the middle of them just sort of letting the crowd do what they're doing, an individual picks up what it looks to me like it would have been a chunk of concrete that came off the road, or maybe like a fragment of a brick. It's
something
a gray,
hard, yeah.
It's a gray something or other. And just throws it from behind and hits the guy right in the mouth. He starts bleeding.
Hitting the law enforcement.
And you could see on the faces of the people that were there after that where it was just like oh my goodness, because most of the people in the front were just recording. They're saying, we're with the press.
Yeah.
We're So then fast forward a little bit later, and the guy is on his own. I don't know where the second officer went. Maybe I think he went actually to try to do like a call for backup. But he's pulling his mask down from time to time to spit the blood out because he got hit in the mouth, and you can see the look on everybody that was recording's faces is like, what is going on here? And somebody actually went so far as to say, "Sir, are you all right?" And he's just like, "I'm fine, I'm fine."
That,
And it was just really, now after that, that's when, I don't know who it was, but it looked like riot forces of some sort showed up to do backup, and they started arresting everybody that was not recording. The people that were recording were walking away. They told them just to get out of there, but there was that clear moment of the gravity of the situation actually catching up with what was going on.
It gets very, very real when it happens right in front of you. And what struck me on that video that you sent me was when, just what you said, when you heard one of these like protesters who 2 seconds before hated this guy's guts, all of a sudden goes, "Are you okay?" And seeing that in person had an effect on at least one of them. Now, I don't think that's going to be the trend, but at some point, I think you've got more and more people going, this is out of control. Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, illegal alien, whatever. Hold on. We're putting bricks in people's faces here.
And then to follow up on that, so then it sounded, at least to me as somebody that's been in situations kind of like this at other protests, it sounds like they're trying to ask just general questions to the guy. Like it's that like, holy, something's wrong here, but you're trying to like make small talk or something. And one of the questions is, do you have anything you want to say to the press? And he just says, where is the local law enforcement? That is my statement to the press. Where is local law enforcement right now? And you could tell it was very rhetorical, and it was a very much a statement against the way that Minnesota is being ran right now.
Yep. All right. More questions than answers, but we're asking the questions. I would love for our folks on the other side of the ideological spectrum to start asking more honest questions as well. Are we going to agree? Nope. But at some point, can we figure out how to get through this, and then we can argue and fight on a civil level to where people aren't getting killed or hit in the mouth with bricks?
We hope so. You know, Missouri's pro-life community keeps fighting to protect the most vulnerable while we gear up for an important election this year. There's still work to be done in the legislature, so we've got the update on that at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On NewsTalk-STL. Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk-STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies, highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark, but colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the -2-degree point. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist James Scott.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to NewsTalkSTL on the app driving to work.
Download the NewsTalkSTL app.
You got to get the NewsTalkSTL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
NewsTalkSTL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
All right, pro-lifers, got 2 points here. Point A, we got a lot of work to do. Point B, it's worth it.
Yeah.
As simple as I can put it here.
Absolutely.
We are now joined by Steve Rupp from a Missouri Right to Life. Steve, I noticed, and I found this on your the Right to Life, I think it was the Facebook page. There's actually a hearing happening today, and this is on a pro-life bill. Now, so we're in the committee, part of this. It's really early on and that sort of thing. But what I really appreciated about it, and what I'm hoping we can start with, is that it is a creative way to still try to push pro-life legislation and protect life in Missouri, because we know the horrible amendment that was passed that we're going to try to repeal. I think there's a lot of people right now in the pro-life community saying, well, it's all about the next election and the good Amendment 3. But the legislature is looking at a bill in the House that might still work within the terrible constitutional amendment to protect life. Explain kind of what this bill, and if somebody wants to look it up and get all wonky, they can look up HB 2688. What is it that this would do that might at least lay a foundation for us to still advance pro-life work in Missouri?
Hi, Mike. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate all that you guys do. HB 2688 it says that an unborn child at any stage of development is subject to the protection of the 5th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. And the 5th Amendment to the Constitution basically says that it protects the fundamental rights for individuals. And the 14th Amendment basically defines citizenship and states' rights to protect all persons. And we want to make sure that people know that life in the womb is a human being. It is a person. It is an individual, just like the Constitution says. And this is a great opportunity to build a firm foundation for life in the womb is, in fact, life. And from there, we are able to win people's hearts to, hey, this is a real child. This is a human being. We know that every one of us has a mother. Every one of us has a father. And our mother had 23 chromosomes in her egg, and our father had 23 chromosomes in his sperm. The union of that egg and sperm, at that miraculous moment, each one of us was created with 46 chromosomes, which is our DNA. Those 46 chromosomes are unique to any other human being who's ever walked this earth. And we started immediately to grow. We were one cell that divided into 2 cells, divided into 4 cells, divided into 8, and then 16 and 32, and continued till it was about 200 cells after about a week. That was every single one of us. Immediately, the first thing that we did, excuse me, because we were alive, is we started to grow. And we have never stopped growing since. That was us. That wasn't anybody else. We weren't a dog. We weren't a pencil. We were us. So we're trying to let people know that life in the womb is in fact life, because if you go back all the way to 1973 when Roe was decided, and Bernard Nathanson, a doctor who was an abolitioniст, helped to create the groundswell that became Roe versus Wade by saying never say the word baby, never say the word child or person or individual. This is nothing but a clump of cells, a blob of tissue. Excuse me. So this bill helps to be able to create hopefully the minds of the voters of the state of Missouri, that's a human being. That's a person. That was me. That was me. That's exactly what I went through, every single one of us. And that deserves protection.
Steve, I love the concept behind it. So it's doing the opposite of dehumanizing. It's rehumanizing or humanizing. And I think that's really, really critical. From a strategic or legal, I guess, standpoint, if this bill were to make it out of committee and to pass, which I wouldn't be surprised if it were passed by this legislature. I mean, I think most of them are going to get on board with it. What happens then, if we know, when it comes up against, for instance, the current Constitution with Amendment 3, the bad Amendment 3,
the old bad
embodied in it, or any of the other measures out there that would seem to push back against that notion?
Unfortunately, until we overturn Amendment 3, the old Amendment 3, until we overturn that, that trumps everything because it's in our state constitution. So we have got to. This underscores why we have got to win in whether it's November or August. We've got to vote yes on Amendment 3 to stop this insanity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really poignant that it's pointing out to the U.S. Constitution to say this is personhood that is protected by these elements of the U.S. Constitution. So I'm glad that we're not giving up on that. Now, in the meantime, and speaking of this, the trial just obviously the arguments just concluded in Jackson County with Planned Parenthood and some others, but basically Planned Parenthood arguing that all regulations, restrictions, health standards when it comes to abortion, null and void because of the current state of the Constitution. It's going to be a while before we get a ruling on this. But what is Right to Life's assessment of how the trial itself went, and what are you expecting? What should we prepare for?
You know, I tell you, Mike, our folks told the truth, and the truth is rooted in science. That life in the womb is in fact life, and it deserves protection. And women that are going in for abortions deserve protection as well, because what they were arguing, excuse me, I'm sorry. What they were arguing is that these health and safety standards are like regulations on abortion, that they're going to stop abortion. Health and safety regulations. I mean, that's insanity. And so we felt very, very good about what our testimony said, that these women that are going in for abortions deserve to be protected themselves, because they are not protected. They are taking away things that are just unbelievable in terms of the protection of a woman going in for an abortion. And so we felt very good about it. Now, again, like you said, we're not going to hear the verdict until probably this spring, but we felt very good about what we said, because what we said was the truth.
I've got my lawyer hat on still, so forgive me. But I'm thinking, I'm playing this out. This HB 2688 passes, comes up against the current Constitution. There's a legal challenge, obviously, because there always is, because lawyers. And then eventually that makes its way up to the Supreme Court, Missouri Supreme Court. At minimum, that would force those judges, those 7 judges, to have to confront the concept of the humanity of the unborn and, negate it, dispute it, in their opinion, if they're going to. And I know legally they might be obligated to uphold the constitutional provision, but at least it's putting them on record.
Yeah, I mean, and the state Supreme Court, and this is me asking from the ignorant non-lawyer perspective, I'm truly asking here, do they have the standing to say, well, the supremacy clause, the Fifth Amendment, this amendment overrides the state amendment? They just have to work within the state Constitution, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they have to be mindful. They have to recognize the basic constitutional principles from the U.S. Constitution, but in terms of their interpretation of the law and whether it can stand, they're bound by the Missouri Constitution.
Yeah. Right.
So when we look at however this goes, and I'm kind of bracing, Steve, and I'm not saying this in a pessimistic way, I'm kind of bracing for a bad ruling out of Jackson County. And I know that there's probably appeals and things like that in there, but really all eyes go to the good Amendment 3 later on this year and how crucial that actually is. Now, we know the other side's going to probably have tens of millions of dollars, if not $100 million or whatever it's going to be that they want to support their sacrament of abortion. But this is something that's going to be so crucial. What should we be doing right now? Because we don't want to fatigue, the non-policy wonk and the non-news junkies, but we really need to lay a foundation that puts us in a position to save these lives with this election?
We've got to get voter turnout. We're not sure if this election is going to happen in November or August. It's up to the governor, and he has until May to decide whether it's going to go on the ballot in November or on the ballot in August. We're acting as though it's going to be in August because we have to prepare for that just in case. And we've got to get people to turn out. People do not turn out much in off-year elections, especially our side. And this really pains me to say that the other side is more motivated to turn out than we are. And that should not be the case. What we have to do is we have to ask every pro-lifer in the state of Missouri to do all that they can to help us win on Amendment 3, whether it's in August or November. And they can do that by putting up yard signs. They can do that by talking to their families and their friends in their churches and calling radio stations like this and writing letters to the editor. There's so many things that they can do to be able to help us, and we need every single one of them. If you're pro-life, you have got to be involved in passing Amendment 3. You've got to.
Steve, are there other bills that are going to be making their way to committee hearings and being brought up that also address the issue of life and trying to combat abortion?
You know, there's an interesting bill that I think Senator Nick Schroer introduced that is designed to help kids in school use the modern technology that we have available to show what life is like in the womb. I mean, shouldn't every biology class in America be showing ultrasounds?
Yeah, they should.
I mean, that's just common sense. It has nothing to do with the abortion issue. It's just wow, we have the ability to be able to teach people what their lives were like from the moment of conception until they're in high school or whatever they are. And that's great technology that isn't being used because the other side is standing in the way saying, well, if we teach that in these schools, these kids are going to know that that's in fact life. And we don't want them to think that it's life. We want them to think it's nothing. It's a clump of cells. And so that's a bill that can really do a lot in educating not just the kids, but their parents and the voters in the state of Missouri. That's an important bill, a very important bill.
Yeah, interesting stuff. All right, Steve Rupp, Missouri Right to Life. As always, let's go ahead and put the website because I'm really hoping people will connect on the website, but also follow you on social media so we can get those calls to action and get those updates as well. What's the best way to be in touch?
MissouriLife.org.
Easy enough.
MissouriLife.org. That's it.
Thanks so much, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. God bless you.
You know, President Trump's about to rack up a bunch of frequent flyer miles. Not that he needs them, really, but he is about to. We're going to tell you why in the news dump at 6:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
On NewsTalk-STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalk-STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk-STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
I've got Dr. Michael Lewis here, West Point graduate, physician, and retired Army colonel. Is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s for traumatic brain injury and concussions. Stuart Tomp brings over 30 years of experience in the supplement industry, brought $1 billion of products to the market, and has appeared in over 6,000 media interviews worldwide, and travels internationally and teaches on health.
Stuart Tomp here, and I've come across the biggest breakthrough in personalized nutrition I've seen in 25 years.
Dr. Lewis here. You know, for the first time, we can measure cellular and gut health. So you can start testing and stop guessing and make decisions based on real data. I'm working with world-class scientists and physicians, and what they're doing is changing everything.
You can message me at elizabeth@statmedicalllc.com. That is Elizabeth at STAT, STAT medicalllc.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
How can you measure the value of education-based athletics? Well, the value is in what makes it invaluable. That's because school sports aren't just about winning. They're about learning and growing. School sports aren't just about gaining trophies and accolades. They're about learning life lessons, bringing a whole community together, developing character and integrity, having coaches who mentor you, and teammates who become lifelong friends. And you can't put a price on any of that. That's what makes education-based athletics invaluable. Of course, when you participate in school sports, you want to win and become a better athlete, but the purpose is so much greater, becoming a better person. Support your local school sports programs. And if you have a student, encourage them to get involved.
This message presented by the MSH SAA and the Missouri Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
News, analysis, opinion.
It is unacceptable that our government comes in and takes people off the streets. Ice out now!
Conditions in the labor market appear to be gradually cooling, and inflation remains somewhat elevated.
How are we supposed to feed our families?
Daily information from the Israeli armed forces about preparativeness here in Israel.
101.9 and 94.1.
You're the most reliable station I know. St. Louis is #1
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, is the administration and Department of Homeland Security reorganizing their approach to illegal aliens amid the chaos in Minnesota? That looks like there might be some changes coming. Is there the possibility of a chance that there might be another government shutdown here in the next few days?
There's a chance.
There's always a chance. And the Billikens, man, they're on a roll still.
They are.
They are on a roll. They are moving on up, to quote that great philosophers, the Jeffersons. Moving on up in the national basketball rankings. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Right to the top. 6:51 right now. Let's sneak in another news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, I'm just going to restate what I said yesterday. Is I'm still withholding my judgment on what I think happened with the Alex Preddy shooting. I have more questions now than I did yesterday, but I want to see what all of the facts are before I come to my conclusion.
100%, and I just would like to make a quick shout out. If you want to follow along and look at it from the, like a deep dive on the gun aspect of it, Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms has been writing on it, and there's nobody I trust more when it comes to this type of topic.
Cam's solid. I always love having him on the program here. I wish our schedules allowed him to be on more often, but Cam is solid. Man. He is really solid. All right, Kash Patel was on Fox's Hannity last night, kind of reacting to the pushback against him regarding the gun issue, pointing out, hey, Alex Preddy made a lot of irresponsible decisions, which is true.
It's not smart to go out there with a fully loaded weapon. We're just saying be careful and be reasonable, like you've outlined. If you have a right to a permit for a firearm, that's okay, but you cannot incite violence.
Okay, so, in that case right there, Alex Preddy definitely made some really, really bad decisions, but that's not what's in question right here.
Right. I was a little distressed with Kash's original comments on it. Same. He should know better. I will say this. At least he seems to be trying to correct and pivot back to a more a stance that's more in line with the Second Amendment.
Yes, yeah, that was definitely a softer response.
Yes.
And so softer, giving him a chance to pivot. Yeah, because he caught the ire of a whole lot of not just like the capital R Republicans, but we're talking the right and the Second Amendment advocates and the people who are real movers and shakers.
Some of the strongest supporters in that base are solid 2A people.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Bad news here in the metro area. Hundreds of workers are losing their jobs on the Illinois side of the metro. KMOV's Morgan Harris has that story.
Alton Steel announcing tonight it's shutting down this week. The steel company, which has been in business for 25 years, says 253 employees, contractors, and vendors will be impacted by this announcement. Alton Steel said both aging infrastructure, market competition, and industry consolidation are leading to this closure.
Yeah, so that's going to be really rough because these are some really solid upper middle class jobs, blue collar jobs, and so that's going to be a gut punch to especially the Alton community.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. All right, Senate Democrats saying that they're not going to vote on the spending bill that funds the Department of Homeland Security. Right? Senator John Fetterman, though, he's a Democrat who goes, I'm not going to be responsible for a government shutdown. He was talking to Hannity last night on Fox.
Our entire military won't be paid again. I can't ever support that. I absolutely hope we can engage. In a debate and make some of the kinds of common sense reforms on ICE.
You know, we just talked to Congressman Eric Burleson yesterday, and he had some heartburn over a lot of the spending bill. We're going to talk to our friends at National Taxpayers Union here in a little bit. They're not wild about the spending bill either. So this isn't a slam dunk, but I have a feeling that both sides are a little bit, especially the Republicans, are going to be a little bit gun shy over another government shutdown. That was the Democrats' fault, but I don't know that the Democrats suffered the consequences that they should have from it.
No, but I don't think it got them what they really wanted either.
That's true. Yeah.
It didn't. So I wouldn't call it a success.
Congratulations, everybody loses.
Yeah.
Good God. All right, President Trump going to be traveling around the country this year, and this is obviously in preparation for the midterm elections in November.
After doing very little domestic travel during his first year in office, Donald Trump will be revving up Air Force One more often this year, and it has everything to do with politics. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles told reporters that the president will travel on a weekly basis and speak to voters as Republicans try and hold their majorities in Congress. The president visits Iowa on Tuesday for a speech on the economy and energy. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, I mean, hold on to that very thin majority. I mean, because the Republicans, one, you got to worry about the midterm elections in the first place, and then some of them are quitting and the others are dying.
Yeah. We've had a mass exodus, it seems like, or not running for re-election.
Right, yeah, or retiring.
You said quitting.
Yeah, quit, yeah.
I was thinking in terms of retiring.
Right.
But yeah, it's a tall order.
Yeah, really, yeah. It's going to be an interesting election cycle, that's for sure. All right, it's going to be a balmy, almost 30 degrees today. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Hey, it's something. Enjoy that while it lasts. More Arctic cold is on the way. Temperatures are going to be back in the single digits tomorrow. I may have to get out my big, thick hiking socks and boots tomorrow again. Our friends at KMOV are warning the dangerous Arctic cold is likely to be back by this weekend.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, and I just want to put in a word for Daisy.
Yes.
She hasn't figured, she likes the snow, but she hasn't figured out that she's going to continually sink into it when she steps in it, because she keeps trying to find a place that's appropriate to do her business, and she keeps sinking into it, and she keeps moving around trying to find a place where she doesn't sink.
Yeah, and then this is no slight against Daisy, but there's a reason you didn't name her Einstein. You've told us before.
She is a cute, sweet puppy dog. She is not real.
She has a great personality.
She's a great personality. She's not real bright.
All right, here. This is interesting here. There's a prediction that's being made about the way artificial intelligence could affect people's faith.
Okay.
Yeah, check this out.
It comes from historian and public intellectual Yuval Harari. He thinks that before too much longer, AI will take over religion. Speaking at the World Economic Forum, Harari told an audience that, quote, anything made of words will be taken over by AI. If religion is built from words, then AI will take over religion. This is particularly true of religions based on books like Islam, Christianity, or Judaism. He also warns that AI will, quote, lie and manipulate. Michael Harrington reporting.
Jump ball.
Well, I just want to point out that Hollywood actor Chris Pratt, who is a Christian, he's specifically gone on record saying that AI is flawed because man is flawed and it's made by man. It will never be a replacement for God. So you can sit on that one.
I'm with Pratt. Pratt.
But a whole lot of people could be misled.
Well, there is a movement of people trying to actually use AI as their religion because they think it's infallible, but AI still has hallucinations no better than humans do.
Right.
It's just like Grok any day. Gets a lot of stuff wrong. And then it says, oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
That's right, yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right, the Billikens move up in the national rankings. In the new AP poll, SLU is up 3 spots. They are now ranked 21st in the nation in basketball. The coaches poll has them ranked 22nd. That's also moving up a couple notches from last week. Billikens are 19-1 so far. They host George Washington University tonight at Chaifetz Arena. That's actually probably the hottest ticket in town for sports right now.
Yeah.
You know what ain't the hottest ticket in town?
Now.
The Blues. Nope. Blues are back at home tonight. They've got a 7 p.m. Meetup with the Stars at Enterprise. Blues hoping to stop a 4-game losing streak. They're just struggling right now.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Amid the turmoil in Minneapolis, President Trump is placing his border czar in charge of the immigration enforcement operation there. Tom Homan takes over from Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino. Yesterday, the president spoke with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. With bone-chilling cold having moved in, all of that snow dumped by this week's massive winter storm isn't going anywhere. And then there's all that ice that brought down tree limbs and power lines. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says utility crews continue working to get the lights back on for all.
The good news is the public worked with us. They stayed off the roads to give PennDOT an opportunity to get out and clear the roads. And so we really want to thank the public. I'd also note that one of the things we worry about in storms like this, particularly where there's some icing and in the back half of the storm we get some sleet and freezing rain, we worry a lot about power outages.
The audio from WPBI TV. NATO's Secretary General says there is no doubt about it. Europe needs the U.S. to defend itself.
Mark Rutte Monday speaking to European Union lawmakers in Brussels.
If anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other.
He told them Europe would need to more than double its military spending to become autonomous in security terms.
If you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are pleading for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros.
Rutte says if there were a break with the U.S.,
hey, good luck.
I'm Ben Thomas.
On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures are down 253 points. NASDAQ futures up 157. More on these stories, townhall.com.
This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies, highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark, but colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the -2-degree point. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The left, for months now,
one by one,
have been begging for a civil war.
Every caller gets their say.
We got to stop and not put these officers in situations where they feel like they have to overreact.
And whether you agree,
we have to assume some responsibility, because I'm a black man,
or disagree,
I think you're politically wrong.
I do not need athletes to tell me.
You're invited to join the conversation.
Thank you for canceling all your games. Now I get it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, for a congressional majority, as slim as it is, that was very doji just about a year ago. There's a lot of status quo bloated spending in that current spending bill.
Baby steps, Mike.
We just spoke with Congressman Eric Burleson on yesterday's program, and he had a lot of heartburn over a lot of the spending that was in that bill as well. National Taxpayer Union has some problems with it, too. And we're now joined by Demian, Brady. And Demian, good to have you back on the program here. A lot of times, you know, you look and you got to sympathize with Speaker Mike Johnson. He's not trying to herd cats. He's trying to herd angry cats in an election year. So that's a challenge in and of itself. But that doesn't excuse, the bloated spending. I mean, I know that politics is politics. But what are some of the key problems that you all are seeing with what's out there right now?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me back on. You know, there are some good things in these bills, but they could have gone a lot further to lock in some of those DOGE savings that you talked about. We've seen some funding being restored to programs that President Trump has essentially gutted, like the international radio broadcast systems, the Institute for Peace. I called over to the Institute for Peace last week or 2 weeks ago, and the building is just currently occupied by some security guards. There's nobody on staff there now, but I guess maybe Trump is going to use that for his board of peace. So that's why there's money in there for it. You know, but on top of that, we're seeing earmarks back in a huge way. A couple of congressional offices reached out to help us just count and add up how many there are and how much they all cost, because there is some transparency, but it's lacking. It took a lot of work to go through hundreds of pages of PDFs and calculate over 7,600 earmarks amounting to over $14 billion in congressionally directed spending to pork projects that override agency prerogatives and review processes for helping to figure out the best way to spend taxpayer dollars.
Demian, good morning. This is Susie Moore. Is there a pushback argument, a devil's advocate argument maybe, that look, this is the best they can do right now to get the appropriations across the finish line and actually pass a budget in regular order, which they haven't done in 3 decades, and then after we're set up for fiscal year 2026. There's the opportunity to make moves via like a rescissions package.
Yeah, I mean, of course, these spending bills that we're seeing are a compromise product, as they have to work through very thin majorities in the House and the Senate. So that's why a lot of the stuff is crammed in here. But let's leave it up to the agencies to figure out the best way to use their evaluation process. And plus, we have a $38 trillion deficit. Instead of lawmakers figuring out the best way to direct taxpayer dollars, they should be holding the line on spending so that we're not burying future generations of taxpayers in more and more debt.
Well, and not to mention that's one of the reasons Republicans were given the majority is because of that exact promise, Demian.
Right, and and maybe with all these earmarks get crammed in there, maybe that makes it harder to get rescissions going forward. We saw President Trump revive this process of rescissions where the president will send a package to Congress, and there's a process where they have to vote on it within a certain period of time to either accept these rescissions, which is clawing back some funding that had been previously spent. So, I mean, this could make it harder going forward to do that, since so many members of Congress are going to have their pet projects potentially on the line in these things. So, the best thing to do now is to try to hold the line on this, and then, work to improve the budgetary process, make sure that the congressional committees are doing due diligence and making sure that the agencies that they have oversight power are conducting thorough reviews to make sure that agencies are spending money the best way possible and try to weed out waste and help to rein in the national debt.
From a practical standpoint, in the near term, and for the voters, what's the best message we should be getting to our elected representatives on this budgetary process in general and just on earmarks?
Yeah, we do have some transparency, but if there's going to be earmarks, it should be easier. It shouldn't be a scavenger hunt to try to figure out how much these are. Like I said, we had a couple of Hill staffers ask us for help because some of these earmarks are in documents that are hundreds and hundreds of pages long, and they don't provide an automatic tally. So I had to go through, and you can't just copy the data from the documents that come from the appropriations committees and put them into a spreadsheet. The formatting is all messed up, so you have to spend a lot of time to clean up the data and try to figure out what's in there. So that there should be easier transparency. And Congress, instead of finding ways to spend more and more money, we got to be holding the line. We got to make incremental progress in a bipartisan way to help rein in the federal debt. But we also don't want a government shutdown, because that's a mess too. And there is legislation to help reform that as well that Congress could consider, so that way spending would continue in an automatic way while Congress figures out the top line budget numbers.
Okay, so the blog post that we're talking about here is saving the worst for last, thousands of earmarks in a spendy final appropriations minibus. And we'll tell you how to find that on National Taxpayer Union's website here in just a little bit. We're talking with Demian Brady right now. I know the politics is the art of the possible, and I know that politics is messy, and you got the sausage making comparisons and things like that. But this shouldn't be this hard. When you talked about, for instance, PDF, and you can't copy that, it's buried in thousands of pages. Okay, well, that means that there is an opaqueness that's intentional, either through the Republican majority Congress or through the Trump administration, his underlings at the very least, when the president had presented such an effective DOGE approach to getting rid of this spending. Why is this so freaking hard to get the concept through the bureaucrats, much less the elected officials? You don't have that much money. You can't spend that much money. The concept is simple. The application is, basically molecular science, apparently.
Yeah, we got to find ways to increase transparency. And we passed the tax reform bill last year on let people keep more of their money. And now the number one process, the number one priority going forward has to be reining in spending. We've been overspending for a century now, and has amounted up to $38 trillion in debt that we're kicking down the road to future generations of taxpayers, which means that they face lower economic growth, higher tax burdens. So we got to find incremental ways for it. We are seeing some bipartisanship here. on all the spending, but we are also seeing, on a smaller scale, bipartisan efforts to lead reforms to bring back a fiscal commission, to put all things on the table to help rein in spending and control the debt, and find reasonable paths towards fiscal targets that Congress can use to help slowly rein in the federal debt, so that way we can provide for a sustainable future.
This is probably a tall order and maybe not likely, particularly certainly in this year. But President Trump has hinted at trying to rethink, reimagine how we do our taxes, the overall tax system. Is that something, can we dream? Can we dare to dream about an overhaul of the way we tax?
Yeah, because that could affect and could control spending by default.
Right.
Right. Yeah. We'll have to see how that works out, because that would require a lot of buy-in from Congress. We did make some good progress on tax reform last year, and reining in the burden. And beyond how much you end up paying in taxes, there's also a huge time burden as well. So some of these reforms just help save that opportunity cost that businesses and people spend worrying over files and forms, rather than other productive or more enjoyable pursuits. So we've seen progress on that, and every tax day we do our annual study of tax complexity, adding up the amount of billions of hours that go into tax preparation. So we'll update that, and hopefully we see some better numbers on behalf of taxpayers. We have seen some progress in the last couple of in Trump's first administration, before tax burdens started to grow again under President Biden.
All right, Demian, where do people find not just this blog post that I just referenced that we've been talking about, but follow your work otherwise? We should find that link. This is something they ought to be putting out on their social media as well, because frankly, the other side is really, really bad on this doesn't mean that we let up the pressure on our side to do the best that we can do. And frankly, I've been kind of disappointed. I was all excited about the progress being made with Doge. I was very happy with the successes of the rescission, but we knew that those were fairly small potatoes compared to what's really out there. And I'm kind of disappointed in the progress that's being made to cut back that spending and increase that efficiency.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to President Trump's next budget proposal, which should be coming out in February or March, and hopefully there's some really good reforms that Congress can follow. You can check out our work at ntu.org, and I also have a related blog post called Tracking Congress's 2026 Earmarks, and I have summary tables there of how many earmarks are in all the bills, and there's a spreadsheet so people can look up and see how many of these members of Congress want to spend your tax dollars on pet projects.
All right. Thanks, Demian. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Demian. We can't always believe what we see, even when there's video on social media. Let's talk about that new video out of Minneapolis. It's everywhere online. Did the flashbang grenade thing even happen? Let's talk about that at 7:20. Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all the ones depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. There's snow on the ground right now, and there's probably going to be snow on the ground for the foreseeable future because it's not going to get warm enough anytime soon to melt it all away. So what that means is when you're walking into your house, you're tracking in all that stuff on your shoes, and you're looking down at your floor, and you're thinking, oh, no, this is a mess. But that's also maybe giving you an opportunity to think, hey, you know what? This floor would actually look better if I upgraded it, give it a refresh. If you're thinking about doing that, you need to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They're a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years, so you can count on them. I've used them in the past. I had a great experience with them, and you will too. If it's variety that you're looking for, Michael's has it. They've got carpet, laminate, hardwood, natural stone, vinyl, you name it, they've got it. Plus, your installation with Michael's is going to be done right the first time because it's being done by the experts at Michael's, not just some random subcontractor. With Michael's, you're going to get the best combination ever. You get great value and great quality. So if you are thinking it's time for a refresh, new flooring, go to Michael's. You can go shop in-store at one of their 3 locations, on Olive and Creve Coeur, on Town Square in Darting Prairie, or on Main Street in St. Peters. Or you can shop from the comfort of your own home in this cold weather. Just go online to igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Today's story behind the story, my interview with Barack Obama and what happened next.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers. Sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I think we've all seen that video. Okay, the video, the left-wing nutcase, the woman running and screaming in Minneapolis, screaming medic, 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 because part of her hand allegedly got blown up. We all seen that video, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, how stupid. And I had the same reaction. What a moron. Well, FAFO, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to, have that on the program day because this is everywhere on social media. There's one problem. I can't confirm that it actually happened. And you may say, well, wait a minute, we got the video right there. Well, there's no video of her actually picking up the alleged flat. Now, we do know that they do use those concussion type of crowd control things. We know that the flashbangs are used. So that part is very, very, it's a story that could actually happen because we have seen some really stupid stuff from a lot of these left-wingers. But here's the thing, because I've got this weird habit of wanting to double-check and confirm everything, even if it seems obvious, I could not find a single credible source to confirm that happened. And I went through the Minneapolis news. I went through the conservative news. Now, I found some fringy websites that I would not consider credible who just picked up the story and reported on it from here's the social media. But I can't find a single confirmation that what happened to that woman is what they say happened. Something happened to her. I'm not saying it's an AI video. I don't think that it is. But the whole idea of she picked up a flashbang grenade and was going to throw it back and then it blew up in her hand. I can't confirm that it happened. I mean, maybe it did, but I cannot confirm it whatsoever. But everybody's running with it as though it's a fact, and I think we need to be really skeptical of this. And the bigger picture here is we're getting a lot of stuff that we just can't trust out of these chaotic situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are getting a lot of that. I'm like you. When I see a video like that, if I'm going to, especially if someone's going to write on it, I want to go back to the original source. First of all, because I want to give the correct source credit, because there's a lot of people out there who purloin other people's work and try to claim it as their own. But secondly, to verify it. And I ran into the exact same thing with an article that I was researching. There's a report on it in a semi-legitimate news outlet. That's where I saw it. But I'm not seeing a lot of independent confirmation of it. And so we were talking about this. I went to X to see what Grok was saying, just out of curiosity. Right out of the box, Grok says, validated. Recent reports from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah, and by the way, we're not talking about the woman thing. We're talking about the other thing.
We're talking about the other thing. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It got my mind spinning on that. And congressional records confirm this story, is what it said. And I said, okay, well, I saw the Chronicle story, but I asked Grok, which congressional records? And Grok says, upon review, no specific entries in the congressional record directly addresses this. So I still don't know for sure.
Right.
And that just that and then the picture, it's an AI enhanced picture of the Alex Preddy shooting. It looks, it makes it look like it was just an execution. It's a horrific picture. It echoes, historical pictures. It's bad. It's terrible until you look at it and realize that it's AI because the one agent is missing a head and has a bionic leg. But it's being spread far and wide, all of which, to get back to your point, you can't just take any of it at face value. You've got to dig, you've got to verify, and you have to recognize that there's going to be times when you can't say for sure one way or the other.
I have seen people go as far as sharing a grotesque X-ray of a hand that is in complete pieces and presenting it as, here's the X-ray from our hand. Well, how in the common sense is how are you going to get that? It didn't make any sense. And the picture didn't have any of the, the numerical, the coding that's typically on. And so people are just kind of, we want to believe it's true, or it appears to be just obvious because there's video. Now, something happened to somebody. I mean, she got hurt. I don't know what it was, but somebody filled in a story, and apparently everybody's running with it. And my caution, once again, is just because it backs up our narrative doesn't make it true, and we don't hold the line on what's right if we fall for anything and push anything that's true, because we undermine our own credibility, which is why I've gotten into trying to double check and confirm even stuff that comes from our side and our sources especially.
Yes. So one of a key concept in biblical interpretation is discernment. Discernment is key, and that's true when you're talking about media consumption as well. And it's very easy, particularly if something confirms your preconceived notions, to go with it and assume that it's accurate. But it's really important to do that digging and look beyond just the surface. And I have to remind myself of that all the time, and my writers, because there's so much information out there. And sometimes it's from a source that you generally, consider reliable, and even they can get it wrong.
Yeah.
So
there's been a few mea culpas of legitimate media who went, we fell for it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we do at Red State, we own it. We say, you know what? That's not verified, or we got that wrong, and we're issuing a correction.
Yeah. Anybody who's been in media or in journalism, and if you say, have you ever had to issue a correction or an apology for getting a story wrong? And they say, I've never had to do it, be skeptical. Everybody has had to do because sometimes your sources are bad. Sometimes you came to the wrong conclusion. Same time, there was a time I remember early in my career that I ran with a story and I got confirmation from a solid source. Well, the solid source, which was the source, fell. It didn't want they fell for something. They believed something ahead of schedule, and so I went with it, having gone through all the process to confirm the story, even though I was questioning it. And I ended up having to go on the air saying, I got that story wrong. It doesn't matter whose fault it is.
No.
But in cases like this, if you're just running with it and stating as fact that a woman in Minneapolis picked up a flashbang grenade to throw it back at federal law enforcement, it blew up in her hand and she lost fingers. Well, I mean, I understand why you believe that, but I'm telling you right now, we can't find a single credible confirmation of it. So you're getting ahead of yourself on that, and that might not be true. That might be video. I mean, it could be video from a protest. It could be Minneapolis. There could have been something going on. I mean, it could be anything. I guess it's possible it's AI video, but I don't think that it is.
You know what? I'm going to do some additional sleuthing.
Yes.
Because I have found that one of the things Grok is very good at is telling you when the earliest instance of a video is.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to the earliest instance I found and then ask Grok on that and see if we can come up with an answer.
Because Jerome, while she's doing that, I mean, that's one of the key easiest misdirections you can do is take something that's a really compelling video or a really compelling photo and then just change the story and say, well, that's what this is. Well, it could be a video or a photo from years ago. It could be anything, but if you say, well, look at this, here's the proof that this happened. But the two things aren't always connected.
Yeah, like what we saw with after Maduro was captured, people were saying, see all the Venezuelans, they're up in arms and they're happy and they're cheering. And it turned out one of the videos that went the most viral for that was actually after a soccer match from a couple of years ago, and the video was from Argentina.
Yeah.
So I'm not ruling out the fact that it could potentially be
I mean,
AI.
I'm not saying this didn't happen. I'm just saying we got no evidence or proof of it.
Yeah, because I've played the video a couple times on the stream already for those that watch the stream, and then I've been in the background here. I've been trying to go back and forth analyzing frame by frame, and there's a couple interesting things about the reaction of the individual. But usually when it's an AI video, it's the people in the background you're not going to be paying attention to that are doing weird stuff, and everybody seems to be reacting as you would expect to see in a situation like this. There are no obvious missing text. I mean, it said Soul, like a Kia Soul vehicle's clean and it looks right. But yeah, I've been looking through it, and just like what you were saying, all of the claims I could find are from either alternative news sources, which basically are just blogs, or Facebook posts, or X posts, or Instagram, things of that nature.
And by the way, Grok cited that when I asked if this really happened, and Grok went and cited those Facebook posts from the sketchy, questionable sources. So Grok ain't there yet. Grok doesn't have that discernment.
It's only as good as its inputs. And as I was pointing out, I mean, it's like, oh yeah, it's in the congressional record. Well, that sounds really important and official. And then I say, which congressional record? And it's like, oh, you know what? It's like, what was that character on Saturday Night Live? The John Lovitz, the liar guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He kind of revised his story.
Yes, that's right.
Do you know
that's
who I'm
right.
talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. That was a great character because we all know somebody like that. That's what was so funny.
Yeah, that's kind of what Grok does sometimes.
Now, Grok is really good at creating like cartoon images and stuff,
is.
because I use it all the time because I manage the Facebook page of my Old Man Baseball League. And so Grok is great for giving me cartoon old man baseball players. When it comes to confirming whether or not something like this horrific happened, not quite as good.
No, it's not answering my question.
But the problem with Grok is not with Grok. The problem is hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have seen it, assumed what they were told about it, and then put it back out there, making the exact same claim. And the more that we dig into it, the less confidence I have that story is what happened.
Well, and that's sort of the way that AI is trained as well, is if there's a large amount of people all claiming the same thing and you ask it a generic question, it's basically like a web crawler. It's going to be searching what the internet's saying. And so if enough sources are saying, yes, this is legitimately 100% what happened, AI is going to think that that's what happened. So DMC says, thank you for your due diligence. You're welcome. Corporeal Being wants to know if it could have been an actor or somebody overreacting, that they haven't rolled that out. Now, in the
possible,
in the video, the thing that's weird to me is the individual has like what appears to be a gas mask on, that they are like running and screaming. It looks like flailing their arms, and then once they get past the ice out vehicle, further away from what appears to be a riot control type vehicle further in the background, they rip off the mask and then they flop down on the ground and they're rolling around. And then as the video goes on, they're like looking at their hand. You can't see what the damage to the hand would have been, but I'm assuming if you ever had like a firecracker go off, it could definitely hurt your hand.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But I don't know enough about the way that these people are like acting and how they are like overreacting to things to say that that's definitely a possibility, though.
Also, okay, so the earliest instance of it that we can find is from this account called Kim, quote, Katie, USA, who describes herself as a Vietnamese-born American patriot, anti-communist warrior, U.S. military supporter, Catholic, one-stop shop for DHS videos, unfiltered ICE DHS action with 132,000 followers. I don't know anything else about this person, so I don't know how legitimate it is. Again, it could be 100% legitimate.
And was she the one filming it, or did she grab it from one of the activists?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing.
Because you can't, I'm going to go out on a limb and say she may have been the one filming it because it seems like that's her shtick.
Okay.
So kind of like Scootercaster or some of those other like Freedom News TV, you see a lot of their videos out there. But I'm still with you. I mean, like let's know more about this.
If we believe that we're on the right side of things, then we should not be afraid of confirming what's true, because truth is going to be our friend and our best asset.
And accuracy.
Yes.
You know how you can stay informed during all the chaos? You can download the NewsTalkSTL app for free. Bring us with you so you can listen to what's going on about your days. Or we also do streaming. So when we're talking about stories like this that have either headlines, articles, video evidence, what I try to do is I throw that up on the screen so you can all see what we're actually talking about, and then you can go back, replay it a little bit, come to your own conclusion. So join us on Mike Ferguson in the Morning on Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook. You can't really control as much, but Rumble, definitely come join the conversation with us there.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies. Highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark, but colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the negative 2-degree point. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
This is one of the more horrifying commentaries I've ever done. I considered ignoring it. You wouldn't even know if I had hidden it, but it must be told. To begin with, it's not my story. It's an article by Lauren Hirschberger at The Federalist, writing as a 911 responder, sharing horror stories of mail-order abortions. Now, before we continue, I don't know what view, if any, you have of an abortion, much less mail-order abortions. My views against both. But listen to the stories and make your judgment. Lauren writes, I got a call from a 17-year-old I'd known since she was 12. She was pregnant. Her boyfriend said, get an abortion. She couldn't afford it. He suggested drink rubbing alcohol. Another from a teenage boy saying he had just put 2 pills into his girlfriend's vagina. Do I need to put in another one? Do you see how little information these kids are getting? They might still manage to kill the unborn baby, or themselves, or both. As the Federalist author asks, how many women and children deaths are acceptable? Pray for all of them.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
We know what's going on.
Have our great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen. It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
All right, we're getting a little break from the insane crazy cold. It's only going to be dumb cold today.
Yeah.
All right. Also, I think we should give some credit where credit is due on something. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes here. 7:38 right now. We basically have a tornado of news to try to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how I'm going to liken this to standing in the middle of a storm with stuff
Maelstrom
flying everywhere. We are in the tempest not the teapot, but we're in the tempest right now, trying to keep, and that can be really overwhelming and discouraging for a lot of people, but that's why Red State keeps track of it all at that one-stop shop. So, Susie, what are the top stories that we should be checking out today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
This is a new one up this morning from our columnist, Eric Dernika. It's called, Here's Why Beijing is Concerned About Losing the Islamic Republic Regime. So this is about, China's interest in Iran and why they are not real happy with the fact that there's, some indication that the U.S. is going to affect some changes in Iran. And it's because of their close alliance. So Eric does a deep dive into that relationship between China and Iran, and it's a really good read. It's very informative. Check it out. Next up from Rusty Weiss, another rioter arrested for FBI vehicle theft allegedly stole agent's ID and vowed to kill his family. Remember this happened about 2 weeks ago? There was they broke into a car and stole some weapons from it. And this is one of the people associated with that, and this person was issuing threats to this agent's family. Thankfully, they have been arrested, so that's good. Consequences. Seeing that.
And let's just hope they haven't passed on all that doxing information to somebody else.
Exactly. Last but not least, we've got from Bob Hogue an article titled, Comrade Newsom Street Art Hits L.A. Sacramento as the lampooning of California governor continues apace. This is, of course, about our friend Governor Hairgel. He's being lampooned, and it's street art, and so who wouldn't love that? Art's great.
You been to L.A. lately?
No, not lately.
Okay, so it's been a few years since I've been to L.A.
Probably 15 years.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long for me, but they're big on their wall art.
Mm-hmm.
They're big on those, and some of those are really cool. Really cool. You've ever been to the one with it's like the big beer garden with all the food trucks, and they've got the big wings you're supposed to stand in front of, and then it's got the big wings on it. Everybody takes their cell phone pictures on that. I forgot what neighborhood that's in, but it's just off of downtown that had an awesome. It was funny because it's this giant beer hall, but they don't serve any food. It's just a beer hall, but they've got all these food trucks, and I had some of the best Korean barbecue I've ever had just in their parking lot there. And that's they had that big wall with the big wings painted on there.
Nice.
Yeah, they know their wall art in LA.
They do.
And the fact that they're targeting their own governor, that does not speak well for him or his ambitions.
Well, no. I mean, there's definitely plenty of Californians who do not care for their governor.
No, including Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, precisely. All right, we've been really hard on MoDOT.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give credit where credit's due. I was driving around quite a bit of the metro area yesterday, running some errands and appointments. Highways are in pretty good shape. They were in pretty good shape by yesterday.
Yeah.
So they kept up with it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure I wasn't driving around after it got really cold, but at night. But I'm sure that things got a little slicker. But things were basically at the posted speed limits on 64. They were on the posted speed limits on 270. I wasn't on 170, but I'm sure it was probably the same. I'll be on I-70 a little bit later. I got to run up to a nutrition stop and grab a couple things before my trip here. Here we had, 3-4 weeks ago, when was that 2-inch thing that rolled in? And then MoDOT was nowhere to be found, and it was a disaster. Was that early January? Was that
No. It was in December.
That was December, yeah. So about a month ago.
Yeah, and so we got a little bit of a dusting, or 2 inches or so, and then we got 6 inches, a couple days later.
Right.
That was unexpected, kind of when it came in.
Yeah, but even the 2-inch one, MoDOT was a debacle, complete utter debacle. Now we get a foot, and they were on target and on pace. So now we know they can do it. It wasn't a matter of they couldn't do it. It was a matter of they didn't do it. So I'm hoping this means that they sort of went, ooh, we better get our act together. And they did. So we know that MoDOT is capable of handling these big storms. And I think this time around, at least from the parts of the metro area I've driven around, it looks like they did a really good job. So credit where credit is due to them on that.
Absolutely. No, I think they got the message loud and clear after that debacle in December. And it we were talking about it even before the storm hit this time. They were out ahead of it. They were pre-treating. They were doing what they could do. And I would say the condition of the roads right now is what we've come to expect, rightly so, from in terms of what they're capable of. And why they dropped the ball so badly last time around, I don't know. But their answer was bizarre.
Oh, yeah. We didn't know that it was coming in that fast. I'm like, well, I did. I've got an app on my phone.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't a
well, the forecast,
a shock storm.
Yeah, the forecast changed. Are you reading the Farmer's Almanac? Where are you getting your information?
Get a newer edition.
Yeah,
No, they definitely upped their game, and I appreciate that. So
yeah.
Maybe that goes to show that public pressure campaigns can work.
See, that's why I wanted to mention that. One, because it's the right thing to do when they do the good job and they fix the problem, that we need to acknowledge that they did a good job and they fixed the problem. But secondly, I do hope that is a reaction to the public pressure, and they said, "Oh, we can't mess around. We've got to get this done." It's not you only have one job. MoDOT has lots of jobs, but this is the crucial one. And to be fair, it looks like they've done an excellent job this time.
Good job, MoDOT. Yep. Thank you. We appreciate that.
And having said that, we're back to the stupid cold weather by the weekend. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are. I'm not.
Oh, here he goes again, Jerome. He's going to rub it in because someone's going to Puerto Rico.
36 hours from now, I'm going to be in Puerto Rico where it's going to be 82 degrees. I'm just saying.
The moment you step off that plane, you're going to be completely sunburnt, and you're going to deserve it for having rubbed it in our face.
Yeah. I expect to see some good sunburn.
I actually am. I forgot about that. One of my friends who's been down there, and if you missed, we were talking about this yesterday, I got invited to play basically it's a team that's being put together from the amateur baseball leagues in Missouri. So the Kansas City, the St. Louis leagues, and the guys put together a team to compete in this baseball tournament in Latin America. And I've been asked to be on this team, and so I'm leaving tomorrow after the show, and I'm going to fly down for a quick 4-day tournament. I'll be flying back on Monday, so I'll be back in the studio on Tuesday here as well. But I figure, you know what, it's a 45 and over tournament, so But I figure, any ball player in America, in the States, especially my age, you get invited and you get the opportunity to play baseball in Latin America. That's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I got to take that, and they've got such a phenomenally rich tradition for the game. I am so excited to be able to do that. And we'll see how Team Missouri does.
Yeah. I mean, how many teams are you up against?
That's a tournament of 7 teams.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 teams from basically around North America. So we'll start off playing a team from Delaware, but we're playing teams from all over the country. And then if we do well enough, maybe we can get into the bracket and play in the Sunday finals. We'll see.
Well, keep us posted.
I will. I will be sending videos in so that you can put those out there. I'll be sending pictures.
We'll be looking for them anxiously.
While you're in the cold. But yeah, it's gonna be. I wonder, in all seriousness, I'm not trying to be joking or be funny. I'm gonna fly out of Lambert, and it's gonna be like 12 or 15 degrees. I'm going to land in San Juan, and it's going to be 80.
Yeah, so dress in layers that you can take off.
Right, exactly. So we're like, and then I play baseball 8 hours later after landing in there.
Oh, poor Mike.
Yeah, but I'm like, I wonder if all of us are coming from cold weather areas. Are we going to have that shock when we get on the field? Probably a little bit.
And you deserve it. Hey, you know what? We've got a special event coming up that we want to tell you about, the Freedom 13 Salute Our Troops Gala Night. It is coming up on February 27th. And we want you to join the Freedom 13 and NewsTalk STL in honoring our heroes. The Salute Our Troops Gala Night takes place on Friday, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles, Missouri from 6 to 11 p.m. You can go to NewsTalkSTL.com and check out the information there regarding the gala, and you can click there for the tickets. We just want you to join us in honoring our heroes. Friday, February 27th.
Mike Ferguson.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. comprehensive chiropractic in Eureka online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
On Rumble 101 straight up trying to freeze on my parade.
Nice try, though.
Nice try. He said, no, I looked at the, let me scroll up because we got a lot of responses there on that. He goes, I looked at the weather forecast and it was, what was he said? Oh, yeah, low of 22, a high of 29. I'm like, yeah, but that's Celsius.
Yeah,
it's a low of like 72 and a high of like 87.
I don't know if they ever hit that low in Puerto Rico. I would be shocked if they ever get
Nice
that low.
try, Mr. Jealous. Just saying. Oh, my goodness. All right, the latest internet rage bait. I'm going to admit, I kind of scowled at this.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like, thick skin. I just look at stuff as like content. I don't like engage in it probably the way I should anymore. But this was funny. Somebody posted, I don't know if it was the actual house cleaner who was hired or their friend or something like that. So here's what happened. This happened earlier this week, and this was on the Daily Dot website is where we found this here. So a couple, hired somebody to come in and do like deep house cleaning, which, okay, great.
Okay.
I've done that too. But when the house cleaner got there, they found a note that said they had hidden 100 little mini plastic ducks around the house, and they wanted all of them collected and put in a jar to prove that they were thorough in their cleaning, and they left that note for the cleaner.
This really happens. Speaking of discernment.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because I was looking through that, and they're trying to trace where the original story came from. It appears to have come from the cleaner. Well, it wasn't from Reddit. No, because I will sometimes pull something from Reddit if it's an interesting discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And so the internet got this all kind of worked up over this. But it was funny because I was thinking, have you ever heard of somebody doing something like insulting and petty? Because I actually remember one case from where I was working in college that I saw something like this. And so someone tweeted that image of a note that was left for the cleaner. Basically, it said, to our cleaner, we had 100 mini plastic ducks around the apartment. We do this to ensure a job well done. Please leave all ducks in this jar. And then there's a photo, I guess, of a few of the ducks like on a bookshelf and stuff like that.
I have so many thoughts.
Yes. Because this is not out of the realm of possibility of somebody being petty and doing this.
Okay. One, if you're worried about the quality of someone's cleaning services, check it out after they actually clean. Like, look around and see if there's dust and stuff. Secondly, if you want to keep track of them, have one of your, indoor cameras, ring cameras, whatever. Third, who's to say they don't just go around and collect the ducks and not do the cleaning?
Right.
Like, you're good. First of all, you're taking up their time to collect the damn ducks.
Yeah. And if you're going to go to that much effort to go place these ducks in these obscure places, well, you're right there. You see the same amount of time, you can clean it. You're spending all the time to be creative.
Exactly. I mean, I would be worried about the spit in my food kind of,
Yes.
boomerang effect of that.
Yeah. And so it looks like, somebody did like an assessment of the responses to this. And it's like 95% these people are a-holes. And then there's 5% like, well, you want to make sure they do a good job.
AITA, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. That's just dumb.
Right.
It's really, really dumb. If someone genuinely did that, they are dumb.
Yes. And that's what I was thinking too. Like I said, I actually had kind of I'm like, what jerks would do something like this? Now, what we have hired, a cleaning service to come in because we've got a really old house, and
Sure.
and every once in a while, deep cleaning is good to get rid of the dust and the mites and that sort of thing. That is not just a luxury for rich people. Sometimes they can do things that you just can't. But they do a job that's really a good service. So don't treat them like that.
Yeah.
If you don't think they do a good job, we fired one because they stole something from us, so we fired him.
Yeah.
We hired some others, and they were just fine.
And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around, how do you not know if they did a good job?
Right.
How does them collecting a duck tell you they did a good job?
Yeah.
If you walk in and your house looks and smells clean, they did a good job. If you walk in and it doesn't, they didn't. You don't need ducks for that.
Have you ever seen somebody do something like this along these lines? I have one story. When I was in college, I worked at a Ford dealership, and I worked in the service bay. And so I was what was called a porter. So you drove in your car, and then the guy would write up the ticket to see what's repaired. I was the college kid who went in and put the plastic over the seat and put the tag in the car, and then drove it out to the parking lot and parked it, then recorded where it was. So that was my job. Drive the cars out there, drive the cars in, run whatever errands they had. That was just one of my jobs in college. And a woman came in, and I actually knew this woman because I'd actually worked for a company that her parents owned. So I actually knew her. Not well, but I knew her. And she was driving like a BMW or Benz, or a really, really, really fancy car. Spotless clean, just I think it was a basic oil change or something. And she was a stereotypical young woman who grew up with a lot of riches.
Well, entitled.
Yeah. And when whatever it was that they were doing, they opened the trunk to get to, maybe it wasn't oil change, maybe it was like the lights or something. But they had to get in the trunk, and there was a $10 bill. Nothing else in the trunk, but there was a $10 bill right there. Now, this car was spotless. There wasn't anything in the cup holders, but there was a $10 bill. They figured out right away, she's testing to see if they're going to take the $10 bill. And they were so mad and insulted at that test that they felt they were being given. It was really petty.
Yeah. And again, dumb. Like, what is that proving?
Right.
You're having worked on your car. What do you?
Right. To see whether they're really. So you know what they did? And this was one of the greatest responses I've ever seen to anything. I wish I'd thought of it. They took the $10 bill and they put 2 5s.
I like that.
Yeah. Just to let her know, we saw what you did and we don't care for it.
We see you, B.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was, I think I'm like 20 years old, 19 years old or whatever. And I'm like, I wish I'd thought of that.
That is
awesome.
a good response.
That is a really good response right there.
I can't think of an incident like that. I mean, I'm sure I've encountered that, but it's just one of those things that when I hear stories like that, they just make me mad.
Yeah, because
it's like, what are you?
It's an assumption that you get to demean somebody else if you don't have any reason to.
Yeah.
Now, give me a reason, and then I'll demean you. If you give me a
there's
reason.
enough negativity in the world already. You don't have to enhance it.
Right.
I don't understand.
Now, if I had been one of those cleaners, I would have done the cleaning, obviously. But then the next thing I'm doing is I'm gathering the ducks. I'm putting those in other locations now around the house. So now okay, it's your turn to find them.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a friend and you're kind of playing a joke, maybe, but
yeah,
no, you take them and you put them on the dashboard of your Jeep.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
My daughter drove a Jeep for a long time, and she had a whole bunch of ducks.
And get her ducks in a row.
Yeah, because I guess that's a Jeep thing.
It is a Jeep thing.
You duck each other. I used to have a Jeep Cherokee, and that wasn't a thing back then. But
it is now.
Yeah, it's a thing now. It was weird to have I'm like, what is going on with that, Amber? She's like, I got ducked. I'm like, what? Oh, sorry.
The Vic Borselli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cindifer.
Hi, Cindifer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim. Yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is, but I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
I am an atheist. I really am a liberal, but I'm also a conservative.
No matter your side.
I'm a Democrat. I'm just a bit angry, frustrated conservative.
No matter your inclination.
I'm probably a liberal, maybe more in the middle.
We are here for your place to talk about it.
I'm the progressive liberal Democrat that you said is afraid to call you.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
I'm sure we'll have a robust conversation.
News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. A Minnesota federal judge is ordering acting ICE Director Todd Lyons to appear in court to explain why those detained in illegal immigrant sweeps are being denied due process. The court had ordered the administration to hold hearings for detainees. President Trump is putting border czar Tom Homan in charge of the immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis following the turmoil inspired by anti-ICE rioters. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president spoke with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz about it.
We hope Governor Walz will do the right thing and continue to work with President Trump to keep the American people safe following their call this morning. Americans overwhelmingly want exactly what President Trump is delivering: strong borders and strict immigration enforcement against the worst illegal aliens, of which there are still hundreds of thousands to deport from the interior of our country.
The disruption of daily life caused by this week's massive winter storm continues. The snow and ice not melting given the frigid cold that has followed the storm. Still airline delays and cancellations, a lot of people without power. In Maine, investigators looking into the deadly business jet crash in Bangor.
An audio recording from liveatc.net indicates the private jet crashing and flipping over at Maine's Bangor International Airport soon after takeoff.
Aircraft upside down. We have a passenger aircraft upside down.
Officials say all 6 aboard died in that crash of the Bombardier Challenger 600 during Sunday's snowstorm around 7:45 p.m. The Bangor Airport was shut down after the crash. The NTSB is investigating. I'm Julie Walker.
On Wall Street, Dow futures down 314 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-366-6161. That's 800-366-6161. 800-366-6161.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies. Highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark, but colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the negative 2-degree point. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist James Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting duck, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the cops on the ground are in the crossfire of politics and policy wars. And I mean that both metaphorically and also I mean that literally as well.
I mean, there's no better way of putting it. It's unfortunate because the people who put themselves in the line of duty to protect and help others are being stopped and endangered because of political games.
Right. We're now joined by Sergeant Betsy Smith from the National Police Association. Betsy, great to chat with you again. Been a while since you and I have chatted. Obviously, all eyes are on what's happening in Minneapolis right now, but this isn't unique to Minneapolis. We've had an uptick in just absolute, unrestrained attacks on law enforcement over the past few years. So we talk about this from the policy perspective. We talk about it from the political perspective. We talk about it from the messaging perspective. We talk about it from the social media perspective. But I wanted to get the perspective from the men and the women on the ground. I mean, what you made your career in here as well. They may get deployed out to do something that they may not agree with or like or dislike or whatever the case is. Where's the line between, okay, they're just doing their job versus they are the ones who are the face of whatever the controversy is, be it immigration or whatever the case is. So from the law enforcement perspective, what do things look like right now when you suit up and go out?
Well, it's very frustrating for American law enforcement. Let's not forget that last year we had over 350 cops shot. We had 87,000 police officers assaulted last year, and now we've become once again this political pawn. And as a cop, you don't share your political beliefs per se. You go out and you do what you're told to do. But they have the sanctuary left has personalized this, and what is happening now with what's happening in Minnesota is law enforcement all over this nation is being endangered. We have politicians and we have activists who are doing things like they think they're outing ICE agents out doing an operation, and in reality, like in Howard County, Maryland, they interrupted a child predator investigation. This kind of thing is happening all over the country. It's endangering law enforcement officers who, again, just want to do their job. And let me say, lastly, that immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol are real law enforcement officers. I'm so tired of hearing that they're not real cops, because I hear people say, oh, I support my county deputies, I support my local cops, but I don't support federal agents. We're all law enforcement. We're all part of the same team, and we should act like it.
Betsy, what was your reaction when you hear Governor Tim Walz say, I want Donald Trump to pull his untrained officers or untrained agents out of there? When he said those words, I'm sure you heard them. What was your reaction and the reaction from your team?
I'm so disgusted by the political leadership in Minnesota, starting with Tim Walz. Again, his irresponsible rhetoric endangers law enforcement. It endangers his community, his state. And, we've got 2 dead citizens, in part dead thanks to the irresponsible, violent rhetoric coming from the governor's office in Minnesota. And, they talk about, turn the tone down. It needs to start there.
The targeting of these left-wing protesters, doxing the police officers, obviously trying to make it in a very, very personal way to even threaten families. We were talking about, an officer had his credentials stolen at some point as well. From a human perspective, because, just so our friends on the left understand, police officers are humans too. So from that perspective, when you get those kinds of threats, I mean, part of that is trying to drive people out of law enforcement, I would think, or wanting them to leave this particular assignment. How does that affect the actual men and the actual women who are in the uniform? Not the professional police officer face, but those who just want to go home that night and go to their kids' Little League game and things like that.
Well, exactly. Why do we become cops? We want to serve our community. We want to serve our country. But we also want to pay our mortgages and send our kids to good schools and things like that. And that's what I think the sanctuary left fails to see these officers as people. And it's so incredibly stressful. It's a stressful job to begin with. Any law enforcement officer has stress in their life. And so we have to understand that these agents on the ground in Minneapolis are hearing this constant cacophony of, I'm going to rape your wife. We're going to find out where your kids are going to school. We're going to be at your house. And indeed, they do get to, we've had a couple of agents who've had to flee their homes because of these protesters. This goes back to why they wear masks.
Yeah. So when we deal with that, I mean, that's something that I can't frankly even comprehend. I mean, there's plenty of people, who don't like the people who speak on the radio, but that's nothing compared to what they're going through. You've got, I'm looking at your website right now. One of the things that you have published, National Police Association endorses the No Bounties on Badges Act. So tell me about that, and how would that help push back against the dangers that are being targeted at law enforcement?
Well, what we're trying to do is make doxing a crime, and make if you go to a law enforcement officer's house, or you put out like we had in Chicago, you had I believe he was a Latin King leader, street gang leader in Chicago, put out a bounty on Greg Bavino, head of the Border Patrol. A jury found him not guilty. And, so this is why we need additional legislation to spell these things out. And, we shouldn't have to have this, but legislation does have to keep up with technology, with new crimes. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have to worry about these things. And now, law enforcement, not just federal law enforcement, but all law enforcement, has to worry about some nut showing up at your house because you arrested him or you gave him a ticket or whatever. It's a very difficult time for law enforcement.
We're visiting with Sergeant Betsy Brantner-Smith from the National Police Association, and there's what should be, and a lot of times in these interviews, Betsy, and you and I have had these conversations, like, okay, well, what do we need to do to, fix this or move in the right direction? I don't know that we can. I think we might be so chaotic and so tribal right now that I don't know that we can. But what can be done to restore order and obviously protect everybody, not just your officers, but also those who want to gin up the violence on the left as well, because I don't want anybody getting killed over ideological differences whatsoever. But what can be done while recognizing that the touchy-feely, we're all going to somehow sit down and talk this out and hug this out, that's just not going to happen. But what realistically could we do to help sort of de-escalate and restore order?
Well, for example, in Minnesota, what Tim Walz could do, and the Mayor Fry and all of that, is make sure every jail in the state is releasing people who have ICE detainers to ICE at the jail level. And Tim Walz made a statement yesterday, our prisons cooperate with ICE. Prison and jail are different. So there's all these people in jail who, once they get released, whether it's on bond or whatever, if they were turned over to ICE at the building level, they wouldn't have to go out and hunt these people down in the neighborhood. If we had that happen all over the nation, that would be a big part of stopping ICE from having to go into these neighborhoods to arrest these criminals. The other thing would, of course, be what maybe started yesterday with Tim Walz and Donald Trump agreeing to bring the tone down. But I don't have a lot of faith in Jacob Fry or his police chief, quite frankly, who went on CBS this morning weeping over Alex Preddy while not allowing his officers to help these agents.
Producer Jerome chiming in. Thank you again for joining us today, Sergeant Betsy Brantner. We have a question from one of our listeners, a two-part question. He wants to know what you think about the Preddy shooting and the administration's response to the shooting, and if you have any thoughts on Commander Bavino's reassignment.
Well, we haven't heard confirmation that Bavino was reassigned. So, understand that. We're seeing that he's leaving Minneapolis, but the rumors that he's going back to the El Centro sector have not been confirmed. So we'll see about that. But again, remember, he's Border Patrol. Tom Homan, who's coming in, is ICE. They're part of the same federal law enforcement strata, if you will, but they're two somewhat separate organizations in the field. So I wouldn't, don't get too excited about that. What do I think of the Alex Preddy shooting? Mm-hmm. I think that it's a terrible tragedy, and it's become this Second Amendment battle, which shouldn't be. The National Police Association is the most Second Amendment friendly police organization in this nation. But Alex Preddy was not acting within the scope of his concealed carry permit when, while carrying concealed, he decided to insert himself in the arrest of whatever they were doing with her. He laid hands on a cop, and that's concealed carry permit 101. We should stop battling each other over Alex Preddy's poor decision making.
All right, Betsy Brantner-Smith, Sergeant Smith from National Police Association. I know that you guys obviously are on top of all of this. Let's go ahead and put out, we've already tagged you in the social media post here as well, but let's put out the website so they can track the blog and follow you on social media as well, Betsy.
Absolutely. Please, everybody, go to nationalpolice.org, nationalpolice.org. See the legislation that we are supporting and see all the things that we do for law enforcement and the people who support us. And hit that donate button if you can. We're a charity. We're not a union.
All right. Thanks so much, Betsy. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Once again, National Police. That was .org, I think she said it was. Yep. All right. Hundreds of jobs being lost in the metro area this week. Got a little bit of a gut punch economically. It's happening. Yeah, I've got the details on that. That's going to be in the news dump at 8:20. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this.
Well, there you go again. Listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com. NapoliSTL.com.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall, selling picture postcards in Kansas City, to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, could there be a shakeup in leadership when it comes to the effort against illegal aliens, especially in Minnesota? To follow up that conversation we just had, maybe.
Maybe.
Yep. We maybe might sort of possibly see another government shutdown, maybe.
Perhaps.
I don't know. We'll see. Also, the Billikens moving on up in the national rankings. Yeah, Billikens are they're having an amazing season. All right, 8:20 right now. Let's go ahead and bring you up to date on what's happening with the news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, so we just talked about the Alex Preddy shooting with Sergeant Brantner-Smith, which, by the way, that's going to be up on our podcast here in just a little bit. That'd be a good one to share with your friends and family and everybody who says, hey, let's look at the humanity of this a little bit. Mm-hmm. Be a good one to do that. Of course, among those catching a lot of heat, a lot of flack, including from us, is FBI Director Kash Patel, especially with some of the comments he made right after that Preddy shooting. So he was on Fox's Hannity last night, and he was saying, hey, Preddy did some really irresponsible things, which is what Sergeant Smith was just saying, and he's not wrong about that.
It's not smart to go out there with a fully loaded weapon. We're just saying be careful and be reasonable, like you've outlined. If you have a right to a permit for a firearm, that's okay, but you cannot incite violence.
So does that mean that if it's a partially loaded weapon, that's fine then? I mean, realistically speaking, yes, two things can be true at the same time. Yeah. He inserted himself into a situation that he probably should not have. I mean, not probably, he should not have gotten that close.
Yeah. And Sergeant Smith was 100% right about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then absolutely as well is that it's clear, after the ICE agent or whoever the agent was that shoved the lady, he gets in and touches the officer and inserts himself in front of him. And that's what led to the entire chain of events that led after that. But at the same time, in terms of Minnesota law, excluding the clear lapses of judgment, he was legally armed and in an area that he was allowed to be at.
Right. So that's why we need to withhold judgment to say, okay, was he wrong in inserting himself? Absolutely. That will get you arrested as it should. But at the same time, from there, was it handled the right way by law enforcement? And I'm withholding judgment. Maybe they played it by the book and it turns out that they did the right thing, but maybe not. And I think we all need to wait until we get all the facts.
Yeah, I think the question here should be, were they within their lawful rights to shoot a person that they just disarmed?
Right.
And if there was something, because I've heard about, potentially a negligent discharge coming from the firearm, which that specific model is known for things going wrong with it. Was that the cause of it, or was it something else and losing, the temper of the officer.
Yeah, don't tribally jump right into a conclusion because we want to believe something on it. Let's get the truth. Let's get the facts on that. Okay, hundreds of workers are losing their jobs on the Illinois side of the metro area. Bad news here that's coming. KMOV's Morgan Harris has the story.
Alton Steel announcing tonight it's shutting down this week. The steel company, which has been in business for 25 years, says 253 employees, contractors, and vendors will be impacted by this announcement. Alton Steel said both aging infrastructure, market competition, and industry consolidation are leading to this closure.
That's going to be a real gut punch to the Alton community and surrounding areas around it. I mean, 250 some people. That may not seem like a huge number, but you also look at the ripple effects of a thriving, especially a blue collar business like that pays pretty darn well for that kind of work. So that's going to have a much bigger impact than frankly other job. And I don't mean to demean other job losses. This is a gut punch to Alton.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were all just families worth of people, I mean, 250 people is in a couple neighborhoods worth of people.
Right. Oh yeah, easily, exactly. All right, Senate Democrats, some of them at least, promising not to vote on a spending bill because it funds the Department of Homeland Security. And this is obviously a protest against ICE and Border Patrol and all of those. But Senator John Fetterman, Democrat, was on Hannity last night on Fox saying that's not a good idea. He will not allow himself to be responsible for another government shutdown.
Our entire military won't be paid again. I can't ever support that. I absolutely hope we can engage. In a debate and make some of the kinds of common sense reforms on ICE.
Okay, remember, we're 4 days away from the end of the month, so there is a chance that parts of the government are going to close again. Now, there have been some funding bills that have been passed, and those are not going to be touched. But look for a big, massive mess in the next couple of days as the funding and the deadline, because a lot of people are so overwhelmed with all the other news. We're not thinking of shutdown stuff. We're not thinking of spending stuff. We're like, we just got over the SNAP stuff.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that of all the people that are on the Democratic side, Fetterman, of all people, is the voice of logic and reason and seems to actually have an understanding. You can't just keep shutting the government down every time you don't get your way on something.
Right. All right. President Trump planning to travel the country this year ahead of November's midterm elections.
After doing very little domestic travel during his first year in office, Donald Trump will be revving up Air Force One more often this year, and it has everything to do with politics. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles told reporters that the president will travel on a weekly basis and speak to voters as Republicans try and hold their majorities in Congress. The president visits Iowa on Tuesday for a speech on the economy and energy. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All right, I know that there's going to be some mainstream media that wants to paint this as a panic move. The White House has to get the president out there to Donald Trump loves doing these sorts of things. I mean, this is like who and what he is. Get out, do the rallies, do the speeches, say the provocative stuff, make the case for his presidency, because he's not on the ballot, as Susie was saying a little bit earlier today. He's not on the ballot, but he's kind of on the ballot, as in he's the face of the Republican Party. And in the best of circumstances, it's tough for the parties that are in power during midterm elections. And, the reality is that I wouldn't try to predict what's going to happen. It is absolutely possible that the Democrats win the House and we have Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I think it could go either way. We're not going to really have a better idea until a little bit later. But I think with the razor-thin majority, it doesn't take that many seats to flip the balance of power there.
It's a good strategy to actually get out there and to talk to people, but I think that a lot of the non-MAGA core right audience has gotten very frustrated with a lot of things, and especially if President Trump can't find a way to get them back on board, then if they're going to push for Rubio or for J.D. Vance to be the next president, you might have a much harder time than before when we had all that momentum at the beginning of 2025.
There are better choices. Just saying. All right. Okay, it's going to be a balmy, 28 degrees today. That's balmy compared to the last couple of days. So enjoy it while it lasts, but we do have more Arctic cold on the way. Temperatures will be back in the single digits tomorrow, and our friends over at KMOV Weather, they are warning that we're going to have some dangerous Arctic cold likely to be back in the St. Louis metro by this weekend, as in, very below zero wind chills, not actual temperatures. But going to be cold, going to need to kind of keep the water running, and the freeze warning and all that kind of stuff is happening. All right, this was an interesting story I found regarding artificial intelligence, and how could it influence people of faith and like actual faith communities, if not entire movements? Here's the story.
It comes from historian and public intellectual Yuval Harari. He thinks that before too much longer, AI will take over religion. Speaking at the World Economic Forum, Harari told an audience that, quote, anything made of words will be taken over by AI. If religion is built from words, then AI will take over religion. This is particularly true of religions based on books like Islam, Christianity, or Judaism. He also warns that AI will, quote, lie and manipulate. Michael Harrington reporting.
We don't need AI to lie and manipulate about faith and the basis of it. We got plenty of people who do that now out there. But but it's an interesting argument, because I think a lot of people will say, well, the faith is the faith, and AI is not going to change the faith. But AI can absolutely mislead people, because AI is only as good as what goes into it. And so if you think of all the horrible takes that you hear on religion or see them, all of that gets built into the algorithm. So increasingly, we're relying on AI for everything. And dare I say it, there are people who let AI do their thinking for them. So I can absolutely see AI having a deleterious effect on, frankly, on people's faith or on faith communities if they start relying on it too much.
Well, the thing I don't like about that statement as well is that religion is not based on words. The words are there to help express what the faith and what the belief is. It's not one from the other. It's the other way around. So I don't think anybody that actually has a true faith in something is going to be dissuaded or be reliant on AI to interpret their faith for them.
We need to make it a point to revisit this in 5 years.
Oh, okay.
and see where we are with that.
I'm being too optimistic. Okay,
yeah. All right. The Billikens move up in the national rankings. In the new Associated Press poll, SLU is up 3 spots. They're now ranked 21st in the nation. The coaches poll also has them moving up a couple of notches. They've got them at 22nd in the nation. Billikens are 19-1 so far this season. They host George Washington tonight at Chaifetz Arena. That would be the hottest sports ticket in town right now, because Blues are in town as well tonight. Not the hottest ticket in town, but they'll have plenty out at Enterprise. They're hosting the Stars. That is a 7 p.m. puck drop. Blues are hoping to stop a 4-game losing streak.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalk-STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast, tracking mostly sunny skies. Highs looking to climb towards the 30-degree mark, but colder temperatures on the way throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night to Wednesday. Overnight lows back towards the 4-degree mark. We'll continue to track another warmer afternoon Wednesday, a high of 30 degrees, and colder air looks to filter in towards the upcoming weekend. A first alert weather day has been issued for Saturday morning with temperatures near the -2-degree point. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist James Gotch.
Commentary with Brian Kilmeade next.
If you're over 40 and plan to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've built becomes just as important as growing it. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They help investors reduce risk by adding gold and silver to their portfolios. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
Here's Brian Kilmeade.
The case of Greenland. President Trump wants it for, not for him, but for us. Virtually unused, rare earth is there. A path to the Arctic and national defense priorities. Cue the outrage machine. Then he flew into Davos, walking straight into a maelstrom of criticism. The fear that he was about to seize the friendly land by force and that he was going to put tariffs on Europe. This is Trump. If you don't understand him yet by now, here's a lesson. He rattles cages. He forces people to think differently. Then he usually cuts a deal. Do I think it would have been in our interest, not mentioning tariffs, jeopardizing the EU deal, and taking invasion off the table? Sure. But at this point, haven't we all taken the Donald Trump presidency course? We know the game plan. We know the strategy. He thrives on unpredictability. He operates in an unorthodox way, and so far, it has worked.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe, so your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is called officially the Great Healthcare Plan.
When the Republicans rubber stamp everything he does, the constraints go away.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Found an interesting note from our friends at Missouri Right to Life, and it was on Facebook last night.
Oh.
And so I reached out to Steve Rupp, the president of Missouri Right to Life, and wanted to talk to him about that. We did catch up with him a couple of hours ago. And the push for pro-life legislation and a pro-life Missouri is not over, because I think a lot of people have they've sat back and they said, well, it all just depends on the next election in later this year regarding the new Amendment 3, the good Amendment 3. But is there more that we can be doing? Is there more that can be done now in the meantime? I don't know what the answer is to that, but there's a creative approach being taken to that. So we spoke just a couple of hours ago with Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life, and here's what he had to say.
All right, pro-lifers, I got 2 points here. Point A, we got a lot of work to do. Point B, it's worth it.
Yeah.
As simple as I can put
Absolutely.
it here. We are now joined by Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life. Steve, I noticed, and I found this on your the Right to Life, I think it was the Facebook page. There's actually a hearing happening today, and this is on a pro-life bill. Now, so we're in the committee, part of this. It's really early on and that sort of thing. But what I really appreciated about it, and what I'm hoping we can start with, is that it is a creative way to still try to push pro-life legislation and protect life in Missouri, because we know the horrible amendment that was passed that we're going to try to repeal. I think there's a lot of people right now in the pro-life community saying, well, it's all about the next election and the good Amendment 3. But the legislature is looking at a bill in the House that might still work within the terrible constitutional amendment to protect life. Explain kind of what this bill, and if somebody wants to look it up and get all wonky, they can look up HB 2688. What is it that this would do that might at least lay a foundation for us to still advance pro-life work in Missouri?
Hi, Mike. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate all that you guys do. HB 2688 it says that an unborn child at any stage of development is subject to the protection of the 5th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. And the 5th Amendment to the Constitution basically says that it protects the fundamental rights for individuals. And the 14th Amendment basically defines citizenship and states' rights to protect all persons. And we want to make sure that people know that life in the womb is a human being. It is a person. It is an individual, just like the Constitution says. And this is a great opportunity to build a firm foundation for life in the womb is, in fact, life. And from there, we are able to win people's hearts to, hey, this is a real child. This is a human being. We know that every one of us has a mother. Every one of us has a father. And our mother had 23 chromosomes in her egg, and our father had 23 chromosomes in his sperm. The union of that egg and sperm, at that miraculous moment, each one of us was created with 46 chromosomes, which is our DNA. Those 46 chromosomes are unique to any other human being who's ever walked this earth. And we started immediately to grow. We were one cell that divided into 2 cells, divided into 4 cells, divided into 8, and then 16 and 32, and continued till it was about 200 cells after about a week. That was every single one of us. Immediately, the first thing that we did, excuse me, because we were alive, is we started to grow. And we have never stopped growing since. That was us. That wasn't anybody else. We weren't a dog. We weren't a pencil. We were us. So we're trying to let people know that life in the womb is, in fact, life. Because if you go back all the way to 1973 when Roe was decided, and Bernard Nathanson, a doctor who was an abortionist, helped to create the groundswell that became Roe versus Wade by saying, never say the word baby, never say the word child or person or individual. This is nothing but a clump of cells, a blob of tissue. Excuse me. So this bill helps to be able to create in hopefully the minds of the voters of the state of Missouri, that's a human being. That's a person. That was me. That was me. That's exactly what I went through. Every single one of us. And that deserves protection.
Steve, I love the concept behind it. So it's doing the opposite of dehumanizing. It's rehumanizing or humanizing. And I think that's really, really critical. From a strategic or legal, I guess, standpoint, if this bill were to make it out of committee and to pass, which I wouldn't be surprised if it were passed by this legislature. I mean, I think most of them are going to get on board with it. What happens then, if we know, when it comes up against, for instance, the current Constitution with Amendment 3, the bad Amendment 3,
the old bad
embodied in it, or any of the other measures out there that would seem to push back against that notion?
Unfortunately, until we overturn Amendment 3, the old Amendment 3, until we overturn that, that trumps everything because it's in our state constitution. So we have got to, this underscores why we have got to win in whether it's November or August. We've got to vote yes on Amendment 3 to stop this insanity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really poignant that it's pointing out to the U.S. Constitution to say this is personhood that is protected by these elements of the U.S. Constitution. So I'm glad that we're not giving up on that. Now, in the meantime, and speaking of this, the trial obviously the arguments just concluded in Jackson County with Planned Parenthood and some others, but basically Planned Parenthood arguing that all regulations, restrictions, health standards when it comes to abortion, null and void because of the current state of the Constitution. It's going to be a while before we get a ruling on this. But what is Right to Life's assessment of how the trial itself went, and what are you expecting? What should we prepare for?
I tell you, Mike, our folks told the truth, and the truth is rooted in science. That life in the womb is in fact life, and it deserves protection. And women that are going in for abortions deserve protection as well, because what they were arguing, excuse me, I'm sorry. What they were arguing is that these health and safety standards are like regulations on abortion, that they're going to stop abortion. Health and safety regulations. I mean, that's insanity. And so we felt very, very good about what our testimony said, that these women that are going in for abortions deserve to be protected themselves, because they are not protected. They're taking away things that are just unbelievable in terms of the protection of a woman going in for an abortion. And so we felt very good about it. Now, again, like you said, we're not going to hear the verdict until probably this spring. But we felt very good about what we said, because what we said was the truth.
I've got my lawyer hat on still, so forgive me. But I'm thinking, I'm playing this out. This HB 2688 passes, comes up against the current Constitution. There's a legal challenge, obviously, because there always is, because lawyers. And then eventually that makes its way up to the Supreme Court, the Missouri Supreme Court. At minimum, that would force those judges, those 7 judges, to have to confront the concept of the humanity of the unborn and, negate it, dispute it, in their opinion, if they're going to. And I know legally they might be obligated to uphold the constitutional provision, but at least it's putting them on record.
Yeah, and the state Supreme Court, and this is me asking from the ignorant non-lawyer perspective, I'm truly asking here, do they have the standing to say, well, the supremacy clause, the Fifth Amendment, this amendment overrides the state amendment? They just have to work within the state constitution, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that they have to be mindful. They have to recognize the basic constitutional principles from the U.S. Constitution, but in terms of their interpretation of the law and whether it can stand, they're bound by the Missouri Constitution.
Yeah,
right.
So when we look at however this goes, and I'm kind of bracing, Steve, and I'm not saying this in a pessimistic way, I'm kind of bracing for a bad ruling out of Jackson County. And I know that there's probably appeals and things like that in there, but really all eyes go to the good Amendment 3 later on this year and how crucial that actually is. Now, we know the other side's going to probably have tens of millions of dollars, if not $100 million or whatever it's going to be that they want to support their sacrament of abortion. But this is something that's going to be so crucial. What should we be doing right now? Because we don't want to fatigue, the non-policy wonk and the non-news junkies, but we really need to lay a foundation that puts us in a position to save these lives with this election.
We've got to get voter turnout. We're not sure if this election is going to happen in November or August. It's up to the governor, and he has until May to decide whether he's going to go on the ballot in November or on the ballot in August. We're acting as though it's going to be in August because we have to prepare for that just in case. And we've got to get people to turn out. People do not turn out much in off-year elections, especially our side. And this really pains me to say that the other side is more motivated to turn out than we are. And that should not be the case. What we have to do is we have to ask every pro-lifer in the state of Missouri to do all that they can to help us win on Amendment 3, whether it's in August or November. And they can do that by putting up yard signs. They can do that by talking to their families and their friends in their churches and calling radio stations like this and writing letters to the editor. There's so many things that they can do to be able to help us, and we need every single one of them. If you're pro-life, you have got to be involved in passing Amendment 3. You've got to.
Steve, are there other bills that are going to be making their way to committee hearings and being brought up that also address the issue of life and trying to combat abortion?
There's an interesting bill that I think Senator Nick Schroer introduced that is designed to help kids in school use the modern technology that we have available to show what life is like in the womb. I mean, shouldn't every biology class in America be showing ultrasounds?
Yeah, they should.
I mean, that's just common sense. It has nothing to do with the abortion issue. It's just wow, we have the ability to be able to teach people what their lives were like from the moment of conception until they're in high school or whatever they are. And that's great technology that isn't being used because the other side is standing in the way saying, well, if we teach that in these schools, these kids are going to know that that's in fact life. And we don't want them to think that it's life. We want them to think it's nothing. It's a clump of cells. And so that's a bill that can really do a lot in educating not just the kids, but their parents and the voters in the state of Missouri. That's an important bill, a very important bill.
Yeah, interesting stuff. All right, Steve Rupp, Missouri Right to Life. As always, let's go ahead and put the website, because I'm really hoping people connect on the website, but also follow you on social media so we can get those calls to action and get those updates as well. What's the best way to be in touch?
MissouriLife.org.
Easy enough.
MissouriLife.org. That's it.
Thanks so much, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Now, I'm sure some of you out there definitely know somebody that could have benefited from hearing that conversation, but they might be busy at the moment. That's why we upload all of the segments of the radio show to our podcast, Mike Ferguson in the Morning, on whatever podcast platform that you choose to use. So go ahead and send that to them. In just a little bit, I'll have everything uploaded and ready to go. So go ahead and send somebody that needs to hear that conversation to them. Mike Ferguson in the Morning on your favorite podcast platform.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
On News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination, both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
I think one of the things we have to concern ourselves with is we're not burning out voters long before the election, which is going to be crucial on the new Amendment 3, the good Amendment 3. But at the same time, we have to keep this kind of in the consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I think the legislation that Steve was just talking about there is really creative because it's not a law that tries to ban anything, even if it should be banned. But it is putting front and center the question, is a human being at this stage of development an actual human being? And so to say the state officially recognizes the unborn as a human being who is subject to all the protections and benefits of the Constitution it's not just semantic. I really do think that it's a smart way to put this out in front of people and make everybody in their hearts and their minds wrestle with that question as well, even if it doesn't change the legality. But I think that it's crucial that gets put front and center on this. And could that affect other legislation and laws? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But we want to strike the right tone here. But Steve's right. It has to be about voter turnout because off-year elections, they don't draw the same amount of voters that a presidential year election, which is really kind of backwards if you think about it. The highest voter turnouts really ought to be those April elections where your city hall and your school boards are elected because those affect you the most directly.
Yes.
Now, I agree with the Republicans in the legislature who say we need to just do away with these April elections and just put them all in November when we get a better voter turnout. I'm fine with that. I don't lose any sleep over the fact that we have the April elections. If we say April is municipal and hyperlocal, August and November are the state and national, fine. That's fine, but we need to definitely do away with February and December and all these other places like that. But that also means that the turnout, everybody turns out to vote for president. And for instance, in Illinois and Missouri, the electoral votes are going to be decided, frankly, with or without your vote. Missouri is going to vote Republican for the foreseeable future generations. Illinois, going to vote Democrat for the foreseeable future probably generations, although I remember when Illinois went red. It wasn't that long ago.
Really?
I actually remember when Missouri went blue. When I first started my career in media, we had Democratic governor, we had a Democratic attorney general, we had a Democratic lieutenant governor, we had a Democratic dominated legislature, and then obviously that changed, a couple decades ago. But things can change, but for the foreseeable future, I don't think that's changing at all. Missouri's going to be red, Illinois is going to be blue. As strange as it sounds, there's a better chance of Illinois becoming purple than there is of Missouri becoming purple.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that's the case. But we can't wear people out, but at the same time, this is so crucial that we need to make sure that people who will vote the right way know that it's crucial, whether the good Amendment 3, the new Amendment 3, and I keep emphasizing that because the branding of Amendment 3 was pro-abortion. We need to own that. We need to take that away. So the good Amendment 3, we need to make sure that people who, when they show up to vote, are pro-life, we need to make sure those people show up, like Steve was saying.
Yeah, and I would even extend beyond the pro-life saving babies element of it. If you are somebody that actually does care about the potential life of the mother that would be pursuing an abortion, you have to remember the ballot language that was used was deceptive. It was not
demonstrably false.
There's a specific line that says, by supporting this the old Amendment 3, by supporting this, you are supporting regulations that would help with the treatment and care and everything like that. But in the actual amendment itself, there are provisions that prevent people from being held accountable if they cause harm to the person pursuing the abortion.
And that's what this court case that just wrapped up, and we're going to get the decision in a couple months. My guess is that the judge is going to rule, well, the state constitutional amendment says what it says. Any and all restrictions on abortion, frankly, they're probably going to bleed this over into the grooming and mutilation of children, too, are illegal in the state of Missouri. I really do think that's what the ruling is going to be. I think that the pro-life advocates, I think the state, the attorney general's office, I think they all know that this is going to be, they have to fight. They just have to, because we're talking about basic safety standards. But remember, the way the Constitution is written now, there are zero allowances for anything that could be considered a restriction or a regulation, but only on abortion. Yes. And then it also refers to reproductive health, which the proponents of that argue includes the mutilation of children. I don't want to say the so-called trans thing because trans is not a real thing. But the grooming of children, this is just one of the most hideous, anti-human things that have happened. And a lot of people were, like you said, they were tricked into it, but we're responsible for how we vote. So we've got to win this in either August or November. We'll find out soon when we're going to vote on that. All right, couple interesting things that we dealt with today. One of those, I just think it was fascinating. We were talking about that video that's going all over the place. The woman who's yelling medic, 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 and all of social media is reporting that she picked up a flash bang grenade and it blew off part of her hand. And all three of us were digging all over the place this morning. None of us could find confirmation that actually happened. The video's right there. Something happened. I don't know what it is, but somebody filled in a narrative, and we know the flashbang grenades are used, and they have been used in Minneapolis, the percussion or the concussive, whatever they call it. So it's definitely in the realm of possibility. I'm not saying it certainly did not happen, but I could not find a single credible source that confirms that story is actually what happened.
And the more I've been thinking about it after reviewing the footage during some of the breaks, scrubbing it back and forth, I mean, the person, if that was what happened in the video, would you not expect the person to immediately go to a CNN affiliate or somebody on the far left and say, look at what happened to me. They, I got injured during an ice pro, and try to twist the story that way, because we've seen people do that in the past.
Well, and not even the Minneapolis news had anything on it, like the local news there, much less CNN, much less MS Now, which used to be MSNBC, much less Fox, much less Newsmax, much less. Nobody had it. But I'm telling you right now, there are millions of people in this country right now who believe, and they're doing the FAFO, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Well, that's all true, but it just doesn't look like that's the prize that she won. Something happened. I don't know what it is, but it's that looking into it and making sure that we know what the actual truth is on this. And this shows you just how easy it is for people to buy into whatever you're saying online. And so we got to be more careful and vet these things.
Yeah, and that's That's the importance of it, because at least in the videos that I've been able to find, I don't see the moment that the supposed flashbang
Right.
went off. What we see is there's clearly, this might not be the accurate term, but it looks to be a SWAT or riot response type vehicle. I've seen these in person during some of the protests I've been to. Is in the distance, and you see this individual running away from it with a gas mask on, and once they get to a certain distance, they rip the mask off, and then they flop on the ground, and then they're freaking out. It could be legitimate footage. It's impossible at this time to confirm if that's what actually happened.
Like I said, something happened. That does not look like an AI video. I
No,
think
I don't
something.
think it is.
Now, I don't know if it was from the day that they're saying those from. I don't know if that's the chain of events that happened. So something happened. But, man, a lot of people have just run with it, and sometimes we're so excited to see the bad guys get what's coming to them that we don't bother to check to see what actually happened.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that, the stock market channel on the TV.